All right. Well, we see you, Martin. Can you hear us, Martin? Martin.
Sure can. Good
Oh,
morning.
okay. All right. Okay, I see there's a delay. That's the problem. Let me mute it. Okay. I'm not
all
good
good.
at this.
Hola.
Let me go. All right. So we have Martin Liedtke and Philip Druzhinen with us today. And we got some really interesting stuff. And Lee might join us. So he's a flat earth British sub. So I just got to keep an eye out for that for him. And then if he pops on, that's great. But yeah, so we got some interesting stuff we want to go over today. We're talking about our last time talking about doing a timeline and kind of figuring out mud flood, like how far back it started, like the earliest one we can determine, and then one since then, so we can see if there is some kind of cyclical thing going on, and then also kind of figure out the causes, what exactly, because if they're different, the different mud floods as we go, or if they're all the same, what causes them, and then that'll help us too if we have one coming up in the future. Maybe we could prepare for it. So
yeah, this is all I'm thinking.
Yeah. So do you guys have any, you want to say anything at the beginning before we start, or?
Yeah, everyone have an awesome day. Many peace and love today on an awesome, beautiful Sunday.
Yeah, because it's morning for you guys, so it's nighttime for me. But yeah, it was a nice day today for me too.
Yeah, I got some exciting information. I'm sure Philip has too. I watched his last vlog. I was floored. I was like, oh wow, I have thought about this before.
Yeah, Philip, you got some really interesting stuff, both of you. I was watching another guy too. He's called what was he called? He's a Scottish guy that does it. I forgot his name.
Rebel Without a Pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does some good work. You're right.
Wow. I was watching him going around Scotland and the buildings and stuff. And my goodness, it's so evident. It seems like it's more evident in Europe, in you guys' neck of the woods.
Yeah,
it's like
local to me, it's like what you see with that in Glasgow. All the civic buildings sunk so low and so evident. It's the same here in this city. There's so many buildings sunk low. I never knew before. Now I can't even walk down the street without taking photographs.
Yeah, I wish I had that here. Because for here, like the buildings, they're plywood palaces. They're not. There's nothing made of stone. There's nothing, like that's old. Really, it's like really hard. There's nothing here. So I don't know. So I have to kind of do my research elsewhere. But well, so I put together a little presentation. If you guys don't mind, can I present it? And then if you guys want to say anything, as I go along, you're welcome to. Okay. And so what I did is, because everyone's interested in what's happening over here with the volcano. So I go just a teeny bit about that, some events. Because what's interesting here, I'll just bring the presentation up, you see. And then Arthur, King Arthur's I love King Arthur, Martin. And so I found some interesting information on that. So let me see. Okay, so can you guys see my screen or not? I think I'm not presenting yet. Let me see. Give me a second. Gosh, where is it?
Click on your watch page.
Okay, down here. Let's see. Oh, share screen. Okay, so you guys can see my screen, right? Oops.
Yep.
Okay, let me shoot, I'm not in the right spot. There it is. There it is. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I wrote it like an article because it's just easier for me. I'm not good like you guys, how you guys could just, off the top of your head, just roll with it. So I kind of, but so I got my thoughts down here. So I'll just go through this. So I was looking up, info on the Dragon Comet, and it's interesting because we have in Hawaii, we have the Helena slump, right, which is this area right here, and all these little dots are earthquakes, right, and this is where the volcano is active, and this is where it's sliding in the water, right. So
Right.
everyone should be familiar with that by now because it's been going on for a while. And you can see here, they call it Alika slide, right? So they think that this part right here, this is where the geothermal wells are, which is quite interesting. So it seems like they're forcing this piece to come off. And then if it slides down, it's going to make a tsunami that should hit the west coast of the United States. And so when I was looking up the Arthur information, because I wanted to check that comet out during the Arthur's time, so I saw this. So it says here, there was a similar natural disaster that happened off the coast of Norway around 6200 AD, and it was called the Storegga slide, and it caused a very large tsunami that inundated Scotland and flooded the Doggerland.
Mm-hmm.
So you're aware of that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, well aware. Have I seen it? Or what's the remnants of it? You have to sail through it. It's just mud flats nowadays. But yeah, I'm well aware of it.
So is the mud flats the Doggerland? Is that the mud flats?
Yeah, they're mid-North Sea. I mean, you have to navigate through them. They're still very much there, and they're literally above water most of the time. You can run aground on them. It's called Dogger Bank. But you can navigate through safely. But there's evidence, as you know, for civilization, fence posts, settlements. People have found some stuff. Divers in the North Sea oil rig found some stuff recently to do with Doggerland. So, I believe its existence is real. I believe it was inundated. I believe you could have walked from Scotland to Denmark at some stage in the not so distant past, is what I believe. Yeah, I've posted about Doggerland. It's really interesting, but I never knew about that correlation. So that is really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're trying to say that the seas have been rising, right, and that's why you can't walk across now. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't. The global warming. I don't buy global warming. So
no, CC climate change 33 CC.
Yeah. So, okay. So then, so there's the Storegga slide, right? So it did happen in the past, where a big chunk of land fell off and then caused a tsunami, and flooded the opposite landmass. And then, over here in off of the West Coast, over by Seattle, they have another one they're hyping. They're saying that the Juan de Fuca and North American plates. They're saying the Juan de Fuca plate's going down, the North American plate's going up, and somehow this is going to cause a huge tsunami. So they say,
right.
Let's see here. They say a new report predicts that a mega earthquake. So I guess because of earthquake, because of these plates, rubbing on each other. So I don't even really buy the plate tectonics thing. So I'm not saying that this is real.
But what are they thinking?
Yeah, because I don't believe in the plate tectonics, but I think that they are probably doing something and they want this to happen, So they predict a mega earthquake, and they said it could kill an estimated 13,000 people and destroy a sizable portion of the Pacific Northwest. And they say, even more disturbing, it's overdue. The New Yorker reported that FEMA calculations show these types of earthquakes happen at regular intervals in this specific part of the world, roughly every 240 years. The last one was more than 300 years ago in 1700, when a quake there sent a 600-foot wave of water all the way to Japan. So they're saying in 1700, a 600-foot wave of water went all the way to Japan. So that'd be an interesting one to check. Do you know about that one?
I didn't know about that. I posted about it. Yeah, the 600-foot. I never missed that one. Can you imagine that coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the speed of sound. Remember that, smashing everything in its path. Sorry for that.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, a bit low.
I think that's kind of strange. They saying the water's rising, right? So rising through the centuries, and they're saying when it was in 1700s. So probably if the water was already rising, right?
Well, yeah. Uh-huh.
So if they say like this, and just imagine the interval or distance between those areas. Japan, I mean.
The other side of the Pacific. No, that's so many thousands.
Yeah, that's just a miserable part of soil that could be causing this 600 foot of water wave, right? So they sent a 600 foot of water wave, right? But what did they receive in Japan? Probably nothing.
Yeah, dissipate.
So probably this is just another bullshit story, I think.
Yeah, I think so too, because Hawaii is in between Japan.
Yeah.
Right? And I've never heard anything over here in 1700 about this big, massive wall of water coming past us, you know?
Scaremongering tactics, this is. Same as they do with Yellowstone Park and super volcanoes, you know? It's just another one of them. But I do think something like this could happen in the near future. And this coast here in Oregon, these mud flats all the way from the Rockies, I've done vlogs on them. They're subject to huge events. There's been tsunamis and inundations in this area of Portland. I've vlogged about it. It's crazy, the evidence of this area. I think I've got a link somewhere, but I have researched it. Yeah, that's interesting.
So I do think it's something that you know, it's like Black Ops something, you know, they'll do some, if something happens here, right here is the predictive programming, right? They're getting us to accept it, what they're going to do. And so that's why I want to just bring this stuff up, because then if it happens, you know, people are aware of it, that who's behind it and everything.
Let me say just a little bit about FEMA. FEMA is a government structure, right? Or is it commercial?
Government.
So every government structure has so-called partners in commercial area, which do something for them that they cannot do by themselves, and they pay them money, right? So they have a budget, and they have something like a research institution or something like this. So like a bunch of scientists trying to predict stuff like this, so they can receive more money for future research, and so therefore for future expenses in different areas. And so they pop up the budget like NASA do, and that's why they, you know, talk about all this stuff. When the stuff happens, if this is a predictive program, and they'll say, we were so smart, we were predicting this, give us more money.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah, so agree myself. Yeah.
Okay, so then and then there's also the one in the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
So you guys are probably more familiar with that one, right?
Sure.
It's over in your neck of the woods.
Yeah,
yeah, and then so one article I was reading, it says a colossal wave caused by a chunk of rock the size of the Isle of Man breaking off La Palma in the Canary Islands will one day devastate southern Europe and the entire east coast of America. Scientists believe this disaster is already way overdue again. Notice that? When it does come, it will cause a mega tsunami that will hit with the power of an atomic bomb traveling at the speed of a jumbo jet, starting off at 2,000 feet. The giant wave will still be 150 feet high by the time it reaches the other side of the Atlantic, destroying everything in its wake and affecting up to 100 million people. And then it says it could only happen if a big chunk came off all at once, though. And they say it's not likely, but I'm thinking it's likely, you know, if the hidden hand, if they're involved, because it seems like, you know, again, predictive programming, they're telling us it's overdue.
Yeah, sounds like it. And they got another event like this out of Alaska, coupled with that as well. So that's a third one. Same sort of scenario that they're saying. So, yeah, this is predictive programming, all right, no doubt about it.
Guys, even if they will be wrong about it and nothing happens, they still earn the money. Until this merry-go-round goes, they're gonna be posting more crap like this, and we're gonna read this and just wonder if it's right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
And it also puts everyone in fear, you know.
Yes.
If you're just watching it on the news, and that's what they want. They want us all in fear because they can control us better if we're all in fear.
Yeah, another tool. Yeah.
Fear Farm.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so then I started looking, for at this dragon comet of King Arthur's that I heard about, and I know Martin's familiar with these guys. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if you
this
are,
guy lives
Philip.
local to me. This Wilson's son. He lives in Grangetown, about 2 mile away. I was thinking of knocking
Alan
his.
Wilson does.
His son does.
Oh, his son does.
Yeah, so he's sort of taken over the reins. So I was thinking of knocking his door and having a word with him.
Oh my gosh, you better go and knock on his
Yeah,
door,
I've been
Martin.
thinking of loads. I know, it's so close. Just knock on his door, tell him what I'm doing on YouTube, and do you mind having a word with me? Because he knows his father's research like nobody else. He worked with him for years.
Is his
So
father? Is he still alive?
I don't think he is, actually. If he is, he's very old, because when he was doing all this was back in the 80s, and he was old then. So, yeah.
Yeah. Baran might be alive though, I think, because he's younger. Maybe he's alive.
Yeah, he's alive. He's alive for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But wow, that would be awesome if you could.
No.
They are the best. My gosh, their information, all the stuff they've gone through, because they are getting out this alternative research on King Arthur, and they had their house burned down.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, they've got to check. They had a car in front of them where a truck was in front of them, and the back just opened up and stuff like flew out. Like it was like to kill them. Like they had all this stuff, that they're doing to try and kill these guys. And when the house was on fire, Baram was in a coma for months. He almost died from the house fire, and Alan got him out and saved him. Like
Wow.
crazy shit, all because of their information.
Yeah. I believe
So
it. Yeah.
yeah, so these are really good guys.
Yeah, it was
So
the paradigm changing. They started the whole field of alternative research. I don't think there was many out in that one. None out in them days. None. Not really.
yeah, they're definitely trying to suppress it,
Mhm.
because all the mainstream academics, like try to poo-poo them, like that scoff at them, and
Oh, for sure.
it's ridiculous. But yeah, so I'm looking up the comet, and they have there's 2 dates for the comet that I was researching. There's 536 and there's 562, and they believe that 562 is the correct date, because also with Arthur, how they found the 2 Arthurs. So the second Arthur is the Arthur, the one that
one with the
everybody talks about. Yeah, and all they did was shift all the information on this second Arthur 33 years back, and then everything fit. So it's funny because it's 33, right? So who did that? Who shifted all the crap the wrong direction 33 years? The
Yeah,
Masons, they're involved,
yeah.
So and so during the period of King Arthur, that was the Dark Ages, so there's like not a lot of history during that time. And so another reason why Arthur got his information got buried. But I thought the comet stuff was really interesting, so let me go here. So a very bright light lit up the sky in Norway and disappeared over Great Britain, hence the Norwegians calling it the Great Britain Comet. Witnesses reported seeing it over Scotland and Carlisle, which is a town near Hadrian's Wall, the wall built by the Romans to supposedly keep the savage Scots out of England, right? Dividing the island in 2. The comet was seen split in 3 pieces in its travel southwestwards. One piece went down Britain all the way to the south end of Wales, leaving utter destruction in its path. Now, I can't help but notice Norway, how they had that 2009, they had the spiral sky. And so it's interesting because does this commemorate the comet going over, this, huge comet going over? And you'll see why I mentioned the spiral here in a little bit, because it comes up. So a fire burned along its destructive path for 11 days, evidence of which can be found in several Scottish forts that were vitrified, turned into glass because the fire was so hot and intense. Over 2 million people died. King Arthur survived and brought the 5,000 people left alive in his land to Brittany to seek refuge. When there, he had a message sent to the Pope for assistance. The Pope replied that Stones could not fall from heaven because there are no stones in heaven. Therefore, what was said was heresy, and so no help would be forthcoming.
Brilliant.
Can you believe that? What
No,
an
yeah, some
asshole.
things don't change.
So this message was actually written in the papal record, along with an order to destroy all references to this comet.
Mhm.
The order was only overturned when smaller comets hit Paris years later. Because then it's kind of obvious,
The
right?
thing came down in Peru, apparently exploded in Peru, because after it went northwest, apparently then it went south, and apparently came down and smashed and caused a whole lot of carnage over Peru. It's documented too.
Yeah, I got some coming. Hold on, Martin. It's coming up. Okay, so then so Brute, I don't know the Welsh pronunciation. You're probably better than me. Brute, is it Brute Tasillo?
Tasillo, Astria, Brynhyddes, Bryntesius.
Okay. So, and then a star of enormous. Oh, go ahead. What's that mean, though?
I'd say like Historia Brenhind Britannia.
So, is this for Brittany right here?
It's closer for Russian to pronounce this. It's just exactly like we say in Russia. Britannia in Historia is like history of Britain.
Really?
That is incredible.
Wow. So, yeah, the language is really close then.
In fact, 80% of what is written in Israel, Greece could be easily pronounced in Russian.
Wow.
People go there and just read this stuff like this.
Well, I know Nostar, and that's in Russian as well. So a lot of our language. Wow.
That is so cool. So there's definitely a connection then, for sure.
Definitely.
So, so in this brood, it said, and then a star of enormous size appeared to Arthur, having a single shaft, and at the head of the shaft, a ball of fire in shape of a dragon. And from the dragon's jaws, 2 beams went upward, the one beam reaching towards the farthest parts of Frank, and the other beam towards Werden, which split into several smaller beams. And Arthur and all who saw the spectacle feared, and they asked the wise men what it might mean. And then Murden, is that Merlin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Murden wept and said, "O nation of the Britannia, now
Britannia.
Okay, now are ye bereft of Emery's Weldick, a loss that cannot be replaced."
Wow.
So the foregoing quote was taken from the Brut Tasillo, the most ancient surviving written history of the British Isles, which is recognized by the Oxford University as being one of the most important surviving artifacts of antiquity, therefore giving academic weight to the often cited claim by prolific amateur historians that an enormous comet lit up the sky from Ireland to Gaul, taking the shape of a fire-breathing dragon, which struck Britain with tremendous force and heat in November 562 AD, devastating both the population and the landscape. And then I saw this picture. I thought this was interesting. Someone else made this right here, but how a comet has a tail, 2 tails, gas tail and dust tail. And then they showed it here on a Sumerian tablet. So, you know, it could be, right, if these are stars or, you know, supposed to be planets, and this could be a comet right here. So
yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. So a Frankish historian, Gregory of Tours, circa 563 AD, in his book History of the Franks, described the cosmic event, saying, "The same year, 2 islands were consumed by fire, which fell from the sky. They burned for 7 whole days, so that they were completely destroyed, together with inhabitants and their flocks. Those who sought refuge in the sea and hurled themselves headlong into the deep died an even worse death in the water into which they had thrown themselves, whilst those on the land who did not die immediately were consumed by fire. All were reduced to ash, and the sea covered everything. Many maintain that the portents which I have said earlier that I saw in the month of October, when the sky seemed to be on fire, were really the reflection of this conflagration." See, look at, isn't that a trip? This is totally vitrified. You can see it.
It's Scotland. Yeah.
It even looks like a face. It looks like an eye and a nose.
Yeah.
Kind of, like it fell on him. But it's crazy. Okay. So Arthur, getting no help from the Pope or Brittany, heads up to Norway and then over to Iceland. Did he stop at the North Pole along the way? We do have record of Arthur traveling there as well, written about in the Gestae Arthuria. It states that in 1364 AD, 8 people came to the king's court in Norway, saying they came from the lands of the North Pole. One, a priest, mentioned that King Arthur sailed there May 3rd of 531 AD with 12 ships. 5 of the 12 were smashed against rocks and were shipwrecked, but the other 7 made it there. So the dates are a little off, but because they say 531, but all these dates can be fudged anyway. And then I'm sure you think, you'll tell me anyway what you think on the dates, because I'm curious, because you've been looking into that more, you guys.
Yeah.
But okay. So while he was up north, it was recorded that his brother Madoc built 700 ships in Cardiff, presumably with the fallen timber, and set sail for America, most likely sailing into the Gulf of Mexico and traveling up the Mississippi River, where evidence of white men were recorded in both Kentucky and Ohio. In fact, in Ohio, there are hundreds of hill forts that look identical to the hill forts found in Wales and England. Is this where many of the 5,000 ended up?
Wow.
Because they have the same hill forts.
Never knew nothing about that. Wow.
Yeah, because they say the Indians, there's like white Indians over there, in that area.
Wow.
So, if they like traveled how many miles to Ohio?
2,500, 3,000 miles.
How did they
from Wales?
From Wales, yeah. How did you know about America, right? The first question.
Coracles.
Maybe they knew. Maybe they knew about America back then.
No. In the official paradigm, how did they know?
Well, in the official paradigm, they didn't know, right? Because
Columbus, it was kind of
1492.
It was kind of stupid to waste so many trees, so many lumber for creating a fleet to go nowhere and die there, right?
Why not stay put? Yeah.
So they probably knew it. So this probably this was just a way to send back the information, send back how do you call it, feedback to America about this catastrophe, because probably they came from America. That's how they knew the way back, because I think that there were plenty of white population in America in those times.
Yeah, you're right. The forts might have been there already, and then they came because they tried to go to Brittany and get help, and they didn't get help. They went up to Norway. It's like kind of like they're all over the place, and then they just figured might as well go to America then, right? If they have a community there that they could just go live with or something.
So that's why probably Iceland, Denmark, Greenland, Norway, Sweden, probably north of Russia, probably Germany, Poland, Lithuania, and stuff like this. All these Baltic Sea regions, they probably was one country. That's what I'm thinking, because they all look the same, and probably they have all this same tradition, same cultural, all these habits and stuff like this, whatever you call it, songs, fairy tales,
heritage, tradition,
costumes, alphabet, pronunciation, all this stuff. This is just the same, because all those words interact, and they can understand each other pretty easy in just a couple of months. Maybe if you come to Russia or you come to Norway, you probably will understand people in a couple of months. And that's why they mention this in Norway, and those Russian speaking kids come to kindergarten when you're like 2-3 years old. Little kids gather for the first time. Russian kids teach Norway kids how to talk Russian before they start talking Norway.
Incredible.
Wow.
There's just a bunch of stories about this, and they parents post this in Facebook. I've seen those messages about this, like they cuss in Russian before they start talking Norway language.
Wow, that's really cool.
Because in
Yeah.
Russia, parents teach kids like a lot faster, I think, because it's an easy language for the kids, I think. And Russian parents often cuss in home, and so they know a bunch of cuss words like MF and and stuff like this. So they know it, and they teach the Norway kids to do the same. So
Wow.
just
That's
imagine your kid
that
coming
part's not
home
good.
saying F that and F
Stunning.
this in Russian, and you just don't know what he's saying, and you find out, and that's very, you know, it's very funny.
That's funny.
So go ahead.
Okay. So the devastated areas in Wales, it remained so for 11 to 15 years, and it was known as the Badlands. So the Badlands comes up all the time. So there's a show right now out. You can see it like on Netflix. It's called Into the Badlands.
Yeah.
And it's all about that area, right? And then there's so if you look at this map right here, so this map is from Stephen King's Dark Tower, right? The Gunslinger series.
Yeah.
And here, look, you got the Badlands, right? So this is like Arthur's world, basically. And the Dark Tower, they always have in both Into the Badlands and Stephen King's, they have the Dark Tower, and it's called like Azaria or something like that in Into the Badlands. But it's I believe is the North Pole. So it's interesting because it's, you know, you have Wales and then which is close to the North Pole. And so and then the Gunslinger is actually based on Arthur, King Arthur. That's what Stephen King said. So the character, the Gunslinger, is King Arthur. So I thought that was interesting. And then, you know, the Mad Max series, right? It's a scorched earth, you know? So it's like, this is kind of like the wasteland, the Badlands, right?
Sure.
Of King Arthur's time.
It was
Yeah.
looking just the same, because we don't see any trees in 19th century. And if we suppose that this is right, so it was since whatever ages before that, because no trees. So probably all those huge giant trees were cut down, and then it was, you know, massacred, and nothing was, it was total devastation area everywhere, probably. And was it the cause of the comet, or was it the cause of the mining? Who knows?
Yeah, so that's why I'll show you a few more things for causes, because I think there's a cause from below, and I think there's a cause from above, right? There's below and above. So if we look at the trajectory, here's a map. It's kind of small, but so it came over. It said it came over Norway and it crossed Britain. Went from northeast to southwest, and then the second part broke off and went over Ireland. Which did catch on fire and is recorded in their records. And the third kept on going until it flew over Brazil. And then it ended in Bolivia, very possibly into Lake Titicaca, which I think is next to, you know, borders with Peru.
Yeah.
And so evidence of this are in the ruins of Puma Punka, an ancient megalithic structure that got knocked apart. Blocks weighing several tons were thrown about like kids' wooden blocks. So this is right next to the lake. These are the blocks. This is an aerial view of the site. And in addition, this area was inundated with a mud flood. Some estimate that 15 feet of mud covered it, most likely coming from the lake. So here's Puma Punka, here's Lake Titicaca. So somehow it probably landed like here or something, and, you know, went over. So they had a mud flood because of it. And Bolivia, Brazilian, and Mexican records speak of the time where crops failed and trees would not grow. Mountain peaks in Mexico also had shown evidence of glacification similar to what happened in Scotland. They had the same stuff. And then so this mud flood, I emailed you guys this. You guys see this one?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So let me just show it real quick to everyone because it's only a minute long. But so this is a current mud flood, right? So this is the volcano that erupted in Guatemala. So let me play this. She says lava, but I think it's mud. Because look at her. She's covered in mud.
She was like, she'd be gone.
Look at the mud. Look.
Yeah, for sure.
Look at that. That's mud.
Yeah.
And that's what they got. People get stuck in, you know? That's not lava. That's mud. That's steaming hot mud.
Probably when the explosion goes on, and probably it does explode and maybe burn for a while because of the gases, like, you know. So
yeah,
it could be burning for a while and could be looking as a lava maybe, but if it's, you know, melting like this, like we can see, it's clearly mud right now.
You know, volcanoes are documented to cause huge, I mean huge mud flows. Anyway.
So probably when the explosion goes off, we see all this smoke and stuff like this. It's just a reaction of some chemical, you know, reaction, maybe burning of some gases, and we see
sulfurous gases.
And that's why so many ash in the area, probably, because it's like, you know, looking in the like if you have visited any burnt house, you see many ashes just flying inside the house just because of this. It's just a post effect of this eruption, so-called eruption.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so so that one was from a volcano, and then they talk about from comets. So now after Arthur's comet event, the Mexicans put on their pyramids a spiral symbol. Was this to commemorate the comet? You also see these on Hopi murals in the Southwest U.S. as well. So remember the Norway spiral? And now here
for sure. It's on a lot of medieval maps where there's this giant spiral off the coast of Norway, and I've been wondering. I thought it was basically a whirlpool in the sea, but now I'm thinking this.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is a symbol for a comet.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is showing when a great comet comes.
Norway spiral, there's a bunch of theories about this. Some say just a ballistic missile, Russian missile Bulava, which was started from one submarine. It was just a test. Some say it's just the same thing as what we know as what these collider guys do in Switzerland. So there's a HARP lab in Norway, and they also use these technologies, wave spectrum technologies. So they, you know, have like some type of satellite dish, but on the ground, and it's, you know, start all these wavelengths, transport and transferring those wavelengths to the sky, and it looks this way when it's working. And probably spiral is also a symbol of a labyrinth or you know, path around the fire, which wizards or druids or shamans do when they, you know, go always around this one spot and, you know, dance and stuff like this.
It's kind of trance state. Yeah.
So I couldn't have, you know, agree with what you said, but it could be. Why not? Well,
I'm not saying that the Norway spiral is an actual comet. What I'm saying was it was to commemorate a comet. Like they put it up there, you know, because like to commemorate the comet that came over and caused such destruction.
Also, you know? This doesn't contradict with the HARP version, so they couldn't be, you know, testing.
Yeah, no, so it could totally be HARP. What you're saying, I agree. It could totally be. You know, that they put that up in the sky. I'm not saying I think it's artificial. They put it up in the sky. I'm saying that they put it up there to commemorate this awful event that killed billions of people, you know, because they love doing that kind of thing, right? Because they're satanic. So that's what I'm saying, you know. And these people, you know, when they do it, they're just marking an event, you know. They're not, this isn't necessarily that they're happy.
Look at their heads. In fact, look at their heads. They have all these antennas on their heads. And I've been showing this in one of my videos about how things in the past may be just the same what we know today. So probably this is just some type of wireless Wi-Fi devices which people use to connect to global internet, And
Yeah,
this
because look at this thing. What's
Yeah,
this?
communication device. For
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Something weird.
maybe some androids here too, because
Yeah, the little one. Yeah,
so who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, like
This is
this
the
right
cargo
here.
cult.
yeah.
This looks like some kind
R2D2.
of Android thing
Mhm.
walking around. Okay, so the comet was called the Dragon Comet, and dragon being the combination of two, or with dragon being the combination of two words meaning lightning stone in Welsh. And the
Yep.
first time a dragon appeared on a flag was the red dragon of Wales.
And
So
a dragon could also be something like a missile, because we see the same fire coming out of the stone. Like,
Yeah.
could it be a lightning stone, which lightning is a strike, and a missile is also a strike? So why not?
Yeah, I'm thinking this myself, Philip. Definitely. Yeah.
yeah. And then Geoffrey of Monmouth, in his The History of the Kings of Britain, stated that Arthur's birth was portentous, for it was foreshadowed by the appearance of a strange dragon-shaped star during the reign of his father, Uther Pendragon. So they're saying here that when Arthur was born, there was like a comet in the sky, and then there was also the one that devastated Wales when he was an older man, right? So they're saying that there's two. So that was kind of interesting. So the one when he was born, must not have hit the ground, because, we didn't hear about devastation when Arthur was born, but the second one did. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yay.
Okay, go ahead.
No, just yay.
Oh, okay. Okay, if you guys got anything. Okay, so I think you guys will find this interesting. So this is actually have you guys looked at the Ravenna mosaic? Have you checked that out?
No, I know nothing of it.
Oh, this is so cool. Wait, you see this. So this is not my work. This is a lady on YouTube. Her name's Ruth Dwyer. And I'll put a link on our at the end of the live chat. So if people want to watch it, you could go and watch it yourself. But so she did a presentation on this basilica. It's called Basilica Vitali in Ravenna, Italy, and it depicts the Arthur Comet event. So she calls it the 536 AD event. She doesn't call it the Arthur's Comet event, but as we saw, the 536 and 562 is probably the same comet. So
correct me if I'm wrong. Basilica Vitali means the temple of life.
Oh, okay.
Oh, for vitality. Yeah, like vitality. But you know what basilica means, right?
Temple.
Well, it's also like basilisk.
It's like a
which is a snake, or it could be a dragon.
No, basil is for Byzantine king. So basil is like a czar in Russia. So it's like a temple of the king, and the kings were the three kings that came to Jesus when he was born. So the kings were not the kings as we know today. Kings are highly spiritual beings that were controlling the mental order at that time. So
Magi.
It's the highest priest, probably. It's higher than the priest, but it's not like a king like we know today.
They were following a star too, weren't they? The Magi.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. The Star of Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Was that really just a star?
I've been thinking it for a long time.
Yeah, so because like at Arthur's birth, there's a red star, and then so Jesus.
It's all the same. It's all the same during the timeline, and it's also all the same in different nations about the dragons. Dragons are representation of some higher mental being, which can send you this message as a missile, as a plane, as a jet plane. Why not? Or something like this. So it's just a higher mental level of and a science level, higher technology level. That's why how can you explain this to those who never seen it?
Yeah.
You draw something, like you draw this, you draw that, and finally you come up to a dragon.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. So she just mentions that witnesses saw clouds on fire and raining fire, right?
Yeah.
And so check this picture out. This picture is my picture. I took this picture a couple of years ago. We walked over the beach and we're watching the sunset. And in the opposite direction, see the trees here? This is where my house is. So we turned around and the whole sky was lit up behind us. The sun was in front of us and the whole sky was lit up behind us. This cloud right here was electrically charged. It was bright as day. You could see it made the sky bright behind it. And we saw thunderbolts in it. We saw lightning in it.
Yeah, I've seen a small cloud. Same thing.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was like for at least 10 minutes. So then I finally took a picture of it. You know, I didn't think I'd be able to. I was like, wow, you know, I hit once. I thought that's it. But no, I mean, it just went on and on, you know, like 10 minutes.
Congratulations. You've seen the Perun. This is what the Russians called Perun, the god of lightning, Zeus. This is what you saw. It's just
what is it called?
It's Zeus, Jesus, Perun, whatever you call it, is just the god of lightning. Thor in Norway, just
thunderbolts from the gods.
Yeah. This is just what you saw. The charge.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because it was only one cloud. All the other clouds were normal. It wasn't raining. You know, it was a trip. It's just this one cloud right there.
In Germany, runic, it's a double lightning sign. So this is exactly what you saw. Just look at the runes of Germany, and you understand what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Wow, interesting.
Okay, so the sun that was reported to be an unusual color. So remember the Norway blue spiral? Well, that was the color reported. The color reported during Arthur's comet was that the sky, it was full of dust and dry fog, and that the sun appeared blue. The sun appeared blue. So there's an extreme drop in temperatures, no rainfall, causing famine and crop failure all over the earth. So this is part of her presentation right here. She's talking about it. And the year before, so this is the first one of the Ravenna mural. The year before the comet, the weather was beautiful as depicted in the mural. So they're showing it right here. So you have the nice clouds here. Here's God's hand right here. You're in a dome, right? It's flat earth in a dome. Everything's green and vibrant here. So you have a clear sky, healthy trees, white fluffy clouds. The animals are happy and fine. And you have God, his hand right here.
Oh, yeah.
Hanging out, you know, like he's saying, hey, what's up?
Helping hand.
And then the border
that means people knew that he's actually helping them.
Yeah.
Give you a hand, like that means actually giving a help, you know.
Yeah, giving a helping hand. He's giving his hand, right? He's making everything beautiful. And it reminds me of your Martin, your one, the DIEV, your Diev. Except you'll see, you know what? The Diev, I wonder if it's God or if it's the devil. Diev, you know.
Well, this is what I've been wondering about, because there seems to be in the translation some fear.
Yeah, because wait till you see that. Wait till you see in the mosaic why I say that. You'll see something interesting. So so on the side here is the date trees full of dates. So it shows everything's like, you know, alive and growing and abundant. But look at the upper mosaic. It shows a stark contrast.
Well, there's another flat plane above the dome.
Yeah, that's true, huh? I didn't notice that.
Sky people. Oh, that's incredible. And I see that round thing as well. It's like, it looks like water inside. It looks like it might be a window in the firmament. It even looks like, you know, it could be the North Pole with the cross, you know, and the Axis Mundi bit in the middle. But that's
here?
Yeah, the whole thing. Well, the blue's like water, isn't it? It's a circle in the middle. Dome, so that's like the center of our sort of plane. That's the way I see it. Yeah,
I do too. I think this is at the North Pole for sure.
Yeah,
this is where they look down from the North Pole.
Remember the flags of all northern countries like England. Who else has crosses inside? Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark. They all have the same type of thing. This actually one looks like a Swedish colors, right? So
blue and
yellow and blue.
Yeah,
it's true.
Okay, so here's a close-up of it. Here he is. And so in the heavens, the sky is black, right? And the clouds are fiery red with meteor air bursts, and they look electrically charged. And then Revelation 4:7 says the first living creature was like a lion, the second like a calf, the third has a face of a man. Here's the man. And the fourth was like an eagle in flight, representing the four directions, north, south, east, and west. So telling us this event was affected worldwide.
Yeah.
And so the second mural, we have both fiery clouds and a shock wave. So see right here, this right here is a shock wave. And look at the hand. He's doing the devil sign. So now it's the devil. That's why I'm thinking your DIE V, which could be you, but I think it could be Diev.
Might be true, yeah.
Yeah. So
vengeful God, indeed.
Yep. And then here you have, so Abel, he's like in the country, you know, and he has his red robe on. He's red blooded, right? He's the line of Christ.
Yeah.
And then you have Melchizedek, and he's in the city, right? He has the columns and stuff here. So it's showing that it like affects the cities, it affects the countries. And then you have the 8-pointed star here. And that looks like a star fort, right? Symbol. So that's also a symbol at the North Pole, because if you look at the Urbano Monte map, right there at the center where the North Pole is a star symbol too, an 8-pointed star.
Identical to Jerusalem on the map of Monday.
Say that again?
On the map of Monday, they used Jerusalem. It's the oldest flat earth map in existence from 1290. And for Jerusalem, which is their meridian, they start on Jerusalem. It's identical to that. I posted about it because it's too futuristic and looks like a really futuristic star foot in 1290. So,
wow.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, cool. And then there's this right here. This is a wood carving from 1577, and you can see it's of the Great Comet of 1577, but how it looks really similar to the upper mosaic. And then on the mosaic here on the left, upper left, it has right here, it has large rifts in the ground, like from an earthquake, you know, showing here, like when it cracks and stuff, and you can see the fire, you know, and he looks surprised and he's looking up, and there's a hand right here. So this is supposed to be Moses. So he's like startled. Yeah. And then this is another one with him on there, and you can see the rifts again. And then you can see the dead trees, you know, everything's like dying.
Wow.
For after it hit. And then here she put raining fire and shock waves. Okay, and then in this one you can see the hand of God again. Here's the hand here, and the white clouds turning fiery. And the man on the left was has what's called Justinian's plague, and Justinian was the Roman emperor at the time. So, but what's the plague from, right? Who knows? Like, you know, like they couldn't drink the water right after the comet hit. Everyone had to leave. Whales, you know, if the animals drank the water, they die. The people would die, you know, because the water got contaminated and poisoned. So, has it to do with the water? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So Cassiodorus tells us that the sky had a blue sun for almost a year. So that's another witness that said it was blue. And they depicted it in the Ravenna mural right here is the blue sun right in the mural. So the sky is golden with the hue, golden hue with the angels and fiery clouds to associate it with the event. But isn't that a trip? They have it right here.
Yeah, I've seen other depictions now where they're all sort of flooding back. It's definitely in antiquity, this blue circle. No doubt about it.
You've seen things with it in it?
Oh, yeah. I see a lot of ancient texts, Rosette, and I've seen a lot of depictions with this, like recently, medieval depictions with this blue circle. I was wondering, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the you know, the blue circle is the sun that is affected by these events from comets. I don't think that the sun is what affects events. I think the sun gets affected by the events. Yeah. That's what I think. So, okay, then we have the Hopi prophecy, right? They have the blue Kachina. And Nibiru also comes to mind. I dismissed Nibiru a while back when I learned the Earth was flat, right? Because they're basically under a dome with no space. So I thought that there couldn't be comets and meteors. that could penetrate the dome and fall on us, you know, and you hear about Nibiru, this huge planet, you know, that's coming. So I dismissed it, but then, you know, now with this information that somehow they can come in, you know, makes me think about it anew. And then in they talk about wormwood in the Bible, Revelation 8:10 to 12 states, then the third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star burning like a torch fell from heaven and landed on the third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, like wormwood oil, right? And people died from bitter waters. Then the fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun and moon and stars were struck. A third of the stars were darkened. A third of the day was without light, and a third of the night as well. So, you know, this could be a common, you know, obviously it's like a common event. Is this like an upcoming common event?
Well, the Hopi prophecy says so.
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to think so at this stage. A lot of people.
Yeah. So let me read real quick the Hopi prophecy for people. It's interesting. So it says, the blue star Kachina is a Kachina or spirit that will signify the coming of the beginning of the new world by appearing in the form of a blue star. The blue star Kachina is said to be the ninth and final sign before the day of purification, described as a catastrophe or a world engulfing cataclysm that will lead to the purification of planet Earth. The ninth and final sign of destruction is described by White Feather as, you will hear of a dwelling place in the heavens above the earth that shall fall with a great crash. It will appear as a blue star. Very soon after this, the ceremonies of my people will cease. Waters suggested that World War III will begin and the United States will be ripped apart by war, leaving only the Hopis and their homeland intact. The war of the end of the world is described by Waters as a spiritual conflict with material matters. According to Hopi prophecy, shortly after the blue star Kachina is visible to all and the day of purification is realized, the true white brother will come to earth in search of Hopi who steadfastly adhere to their ancient teachings. It is said that if the true white brother fails in his mission and is unable to find uncorrupted men and women, that the earth will be completely destroyed and none will be spared. However, if successful in bringing the symbols and finding those who still follow the true Hopi way of life, the world will be created anew and all the faithful will be saved from destruction. So this sounds like the Jesus story too in Armageddon, right? So it's like every culture has one and talks about it. So the few people, you know, the few uncorrupted men and women, who are they?
Yeah, flat earthers.
Exactly. It's us. It's the people that are trying to get the truth out, right? So in every culture, you know, so even the Hopi culture is voicing what we have in the West. So. Wow. So also on the mural, it shows a sudden extreme downturn of temperatures, which lasted for 9 years. Luke is bundled up with one hand completely gloved right here due to the cold, the other doing the sign of the devil again.
Wow.
Right? Meaning who's behind the event. And then we have the bull up here, right? And they worship the bull, the Luciferians, right? Apis is the bull.
Well, the sign of this bull will probably not be what we know as a devil. Probably it's a whale's sign. So whales is after the god of Veles, and Veles was represented by a bull, by a bear, and a wolf. So
interesting, yeah. So maybe, could be, and then there's an ibis, and he's on a iced pond, so it shows how cold it is. He's all
the trees are stripped bare as well, just like twigs.
Yeah, the trees are all black, and then look at all the rifts in the land.
And so, actually, the whale star is what we know as a David star right now.
Star of David.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
That's why probably in the Bible there's something about the golden bull and all this bull stuff.
Oh, that's true. They have the golden calf in there.
Yeah, when Moses come down from Mount Ararat, they're all worshipping a golden calf.
So it's like the changing of the gods. We see the process of the changing of the gods, and this might be representing this maybe revolution or whatever you call it, spiritual revolution, you know, religious revolution. That's why the religion, so it's like return, restart religion. So it's like,
Yeah, religion.
not the original belief. It's restarting of something with the new rules, new names, new, you know, new languages.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, and then this right here is a list of disasters in Great Britain, and for the comet, if you look here, it says 535 to 536. They just say extreme weather events. So it talks about the cooling, crop failures, and freezing, but it doesn't say the comet in here. So
well, like you said, it was taken out of literature, and I got evidence to show that that's true, because I got a document of all like documented comments in history, and that one's not in there. One close.
And that one's not in there.
No.
And it's such a big one, and there's evidence everywhere for it.
I know. I went searching.
Like they're trying to bury it. So additional evidence: the Byzantine historian Procopius recorded in 536, or the recorded the 536 date in his report on the wars with the Vandals. During this year, a most dread portent took place, for the sun gave forth its light without brightness, and it seemed exceedingly like the sun in eclipse, for the beams it shed were not clear. So he doesn't say it's blue, but he says it, you know, was like an eclipse. And the Gaelic Irish annals record the following: a failure bred in the year 536, the Annals of Ulster; a failure bred from the years 536 to 539, the Annals of Innisfallen. And then Professor Mike Bailey of Queen's University, Belfast, states, from European oaks through pine chronologies, from Sweden across to Mongolia, and from California to Chile, dramatic effects in trees have been observed across the years from 536 to 545 AD. So, you know, I guess the ones that survived, maybe their growth was stunted. So Zechariah of Mytilene recorded that in around 538 AD, a great and terrible comet appeared in the sky at evening time for 100 days. The monk Gildas, writing around 540 AD, recorded the island of Britain was on fire from sea to sea until it had burned almost the whole surface of the island and was licking the Western Ocean with its fierce red tongue. And then this one, you'll like this one, Martin. Similarly, medieval historian Roger of Wendover stated that in the year of grace 541 AD, there appeared a comet in Gaul so vast that the whole sky seemed on fire. In the same year, there dropped real blood from the clouds, and a dreadful mortality ensued. Remember, you were talking about one that it was the blood was coming from the clouds.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, a week ago. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I was trying to find and put the screenshot of when you're talking about, but I couldn't remember which one you were.
It's just like cherubs or angels just pouring buckets of blood out of the sky, and it's raining blood as well, and fire as well.
So what do you think about that? Because it says here a real blood from the skies. What do you guys think?
Well, it sounds like volcanic, isn't it? Because you know, after an event, it rains during volcanicity, and it can rain like a reddy liquid, as you've seen. Rivers can discolor from you know, sulfur dioxide and what the rest. So it could be, and it sounds like a vent to me.
So you think it's just raining fire, and they were thinking it's blood?
Yeah, I think
he says here there dropped real blood, is what he said.
Unless there's a battle in heaven and so spilling.
Yeah.
So, probably it was just an air battle, like what we know.
Yeah, Titans or an air battle. I like that.
Yeah, because he says real blood. They made sure, you know, he says real blood from the clouds. So that was interesting. And then the border on the after event, you know, so you had fruits and leaves and stuff, and then you have here comet, fiery colors, explosive, and it matches the woodcut again. Cluster of white behind here are the meteors right here. These things, and Oh, and then the shock wave. I hear it's a shock wave, and she put here they have the shock waves. And then Romanos Melodos wrote a poem on the event titled "On Earthquakes and Fires." It read, "The Creator delivered one blow after another like a massive lightning streak cloud. The fire billowed into the entire sky, consuming everything, crashing, creating panic. He shakes the earth and makes the ground gnash. We wailed during the period of earthquakes. The flames did not yield to fierce headwinds. Men's hands were useless in trying to control the flames. The fire fought against them and were victorious. The Lord commanded the raindrops in the clouds never to fall on earth. The flames, eager to engulf the city, were fed by roof timbers and whipped into a firestorm by ferocious winds. The emperor and queen were in these ranks, eyes lifted in hope, deliver the city from all catastrophes, earthquake, famine, death." And then there was the first recorded pandemic in history was at this time. And they say it brought the plague, but I don't know if it was a plague, but claimed 25 million to 100 million lives globally. Globally, nearly half of Europe died in the after effects. So, and then there's the question that you guys were, both talking about, where did the bodies go then?
Yeah.
Right? If there's 100 million people that died, where did they go? So,
Where did they go indeed?
Yeah. And then, so here's the inside of the basilica. It's really pretty. You can see how tall it is.
It's massive.
And here's from the outside. So this was a drawing, and then here it is. Did you do this one? Either of you guys do this one?
No.
The Basilica Vitali? So
No.
they put it's a little different here. This thing's in front.
And giant buttresses don't need to be there. Them flying buttresses, the building's not high enough to need them, so they're definitely going a lot deeper. Them flying buttresses are only on a lot taller buildings in a 3-story building. They are not needed to hold that wall in position. So they are these arms that are going down on the side here. They're called flying buttresses, and they're to hold the wall in place. But there's no way you'd need them on a 3 or 2-story building. So they're going a lot deeper. That building goes a lot deeper.
And look here, the windows are cut in half. It looks like they got filled in down here. See here? This window's longer, and here they're like, and then look at how short the door looks.
Yeah.
It's like this little tiny, compared to the size of the building, you'd think it would be a lot bigger. So it's like the door's down here underneath, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to door anyway.
Basilica was probably located somewhere on the hill, if we think about it this way. And look at the upper picture. We see steps inside the building that go down. So probably it's lower than the level of outside ground.
Yeah. And look how small the door looks. So I think it's this door, and then you go down, like you're saying. Yeah.
But not too much.
Yeah, but there's definitely evidence.
So probably it did have another lower basement floor, or whatever you call it, which is now invisible.
Yeah.
Every such construction has them, and maybe not only one. Maybe even have it can even have underground tunnels to some other places in that town. Even a neighborhood could be underground. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
And then it's an octagonal church, and you have a pointed star, but you also have other things, like umbrellas are octagonal. That represents the blue bloods, and so it's an octagonal church.
8 is for 8 powers, or 8, things like 8 physical powers, and they also worshipped 8 because of this cube thing, because the cube is also 8.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
8 is also infinity, and this is like Saturn, or whatever you call it, cult.
Yeah. Also the Ouroboros, infinity, right?
Yeah,
it's, eating its tail, and all you got to do is twist it, and then you got an 8.
Yeah, we have a lot of these 8 stars in Russia too. So just common thing here.
So here, so basilica is also basilisk. So these are a couple symbols. The Archangel Michael killing a basilisk, which is like some hybrid creature. It's not quite a dragon, right? Wow. It's funny, but
it's crazy.
And then I'm just ending on winter is coming, right? They always say in Game of Thrones, winter is coming.
Game of Thrones when they,
So,
yeah.
because it looks like comets make winter, right? So is there something they need to?
I think they're predictably programming with that, with the way that panned out.
Yeah,
I
think so too.
Just imagine of it like a huge aircraft spraying something that leaves a huge tail of so-called dust, and this chemtrail goes worldwide and spreads as a global winter. Okay, could it be this way?
Could it be? Could well be. I never even considered that. You know, they could even spray an aerosol that could be ignited. You know,
that's why two tails, because one tail was a fire, the second was a dust, and dust could be just a spraying of global, you know, chemtrail.
Yeah, I was thinking something more advanced that we have no knowledge of.
Because right now we also have the planes with the engines going on. They also cause fire, and the chemtrail looks like a cloud in the sky.
For sure, it does. Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Could well be.
All right. So who wants to go next?
I'm easy.
You want to go? Philip, you want to go? You and Martin go?
No, I probably finished because, you know.
Okay.
I'm more into closer ages, like 19th century.
Okay. So we'll have Martin, you want to go? I'll stop share.
Yeah, sure. I got something that's going to blow your mind after what you just presented. I swear you're going to love this. You are going to love this, Rosette. I know, it's so exciting. Right. Now, let me just show you this first. You're going to freak at this. Now, this is, am I presenting? Yeah, I am, aren't I? So, a book or a 1700s book of comets, and this is the first one that's in there, right? It's 1744, which is the year that apparently the leap year was brought in. So I thought, all right, well, a comet goes over and there's a change in the calendar. All right, well, we'll do a bit more research. So I go through all of this book, let me write down the first comets deal with the first millennium AD, what we've just been talking about, and I've been going through them all, trying to corroborate them online with events on the ground. And I'll just give you the idea of what they're thinking or what they're showing for comets. Now, this, I was starting to think, is this a book for UFO sightings? Because you get large obelisks, which look like the monolith out of Stanley Kubrick's Space Oddity. And this boiling pot and this pyramid in the sky, and the people are looking up at these comets. So do they create changes in people's behavior? Do they get like wandering madness, or do they get like a shift in consciousness? There's something going on deeper. So I started to juggle with what we're thinking, what I'm starting to think now, are comets weapons? And where could they come from? I'm starting to think, now what Philip said, that's very intriguing. So I started to document them. I'm going through all of these dates, and overwhelmingly, probably about 80%, 90% of the ones that I can find, the good ones, in this millennium AD, they've had some sort of shift in the calendar, or something's happened really significant, which the people don't know. Mind, this is the elites. And remember, we're only going with the calendar shifts that we know of. And when I show you something in a minute, all will become apparent about the Groundhog Day that could be the Juliana Day. There's even the suggestion that between the 1600s and the 1700s may have been another 100 years in between. And they've managed to fudge it somehow by a thing called folding time or folding history. This is not a scientific concept. This is a trick with calendars. Now, these comets, so why are they showing two suns or two comets? Well, if you look into the events of New Madrid, Missouri, 1811 through to 1812, they talk of comets, Napoleon's comet, but they talk of more than one. They talk of comet storms. So they cause volcanicity, they cause things on the ground. Now, I think the key is with this, from what I'm finding out with this pamphlet, is the key is comets need to be close to the ground, almost close enough that the tail on them flicks the ground, causing huge electrical arcing, or they're just being close. I think the sea adds to it, the saltiness of the sea and diamagnetic properties of the sea, I think, cause, participate this. I'm wondering whether fracking, what they've been doing, that's nothing to do with getting energy. They have free energy, so they're doing something else. So are they putting some sort of fluid underneath us to participate this sort of reset system, or comets coming through and causing fiery pots of fire being spilled out of the sky? Now, these are the ones for the first millennium AD, and they are highly unusual. So I'm just going to shift up to a more recent period, and then we'll see they corroborate with dates. So what I'm thinking, I might be completely wrong, is that if they're doing a calendar shift coupled with events, comet events, and disasters on the ground, then is it like a miniature or a smaller period of time between resets, instead of 1,000 years and then a reset, or 2,000 years and then a reset? Is it really only in like 300-year periods, and then they reset, and then it's reset? Because the dead are not there, they're completely missing. There must have been tens of millions, billions of people who's gone before us. They are not there. And I don't think they've been washed away with an inundation, they're just not there. So are we in really narrower windows of time? Now, the comets, they show these huge tails just above the trees in some of these, and I think that's the key, is them being close. Because we've seen Hale-Bopp a few years ago. Guys, that didn't do too much at all, did it? It was a strange time, but it didn't do anything on the ground, or did it? Because there were events registered and there were volcanic eruptions, but not overly, because I checked. So this thing, is this a comet? Because it looks like a UFO or something, or it looks something technical, because it's round, isn't it? It's on fire. So the cross as well coming down. Well, is that what, like, the Emperor Constantine was apparently documented in witnessing, to bring in the Christian faith to the Romans, bringing in the Roman Catholics? Because that's what was apparently happened. He's seen a fiery cross over the lake. So I'm just wondering if did he actually see one of these? So you come to the present day, or the last 1,000 years, and you get to this. So I started this. You're going to find this quite interesting. Now, I think this is the key. I really do think this is the key. Is the Welsh tsunami. It happened here. Again, another calendar shift. Okay. Now, there's been more than one Gregorian Juliana shift. They took 300 or 400 years, so they say, to implement them, or actually from Caesar's reign properly, but that's who initiated it. But apparently took, so if the shift hasn't happened, say, in Gaul, but it has happened in England, and they don't really do like the switch over for another 100 years, they're making dating on anything that I've been looking at. It's been making things really difficult. Finding that one fact out alone, the date shifts were different in different places, has really changed everything. So this happened here. Where I'm sitting now, apparently, a 10-meter high wave came in from the west, inundating all of this area, killing thousands of people and rendering it a barren wasteland for a generation. Okay, apparently, here what I'm sitting now. But I think it was more widespread. I think that because of this, this one simple fact that they've done a shift in the calendar right there at this particular year, when there's been such a massive event. This, like, for Britain, must have been unbelievable. I read the statements of the time. It's like it came in and run faster than a speeding race horse, so no man could outrun it. Okay, so it came in from the west here. The Bristol Channel floods of January the 13th, 1907, caused the largest loss of life from any sudden onset natural catastrophe in the United Kingdom during the past 500 years. Between 500 and 2,000 people drowned in villages and isolated farms on low-lying coastlines around the Bristol Channel and Severn Estuary, which is where I am, just by there. Just there.
Martin, on that river. What did they say was the cause?
Well,
what did they say?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that this, because it's been so understated, now there's not much information on this. If you go on YouTube and put in the Welsh tsunami, 2 videos come up and they're both mine. There's nothing on YouTube. This is the only link I found on the whole of the internet concerning it. There's not even any splinter ideas. Now, I've seen a documentary on this on the television where they went to these mud flats and they reckon that, you know, this whole area, this mud you see came from this event. So it's mud related, okay? But I think because of its date, 1602, the calendar, 1607, the calendar shift at the same time, I think this must have been a tipping point. I think this might have been, you know, a mini reset era at 16. And then I discovered something else last night, which sort of shows you something. Just bear with me. So it was a major tsunami, however, evidence, yeah, this could have been caused by a landfall in the Atlantic that they have prostrated Rosette from possibly the Canary Islands. It's like La Palma. It could have done.
So like the Storega slide, like something like that.
As been suggested with this as a cause, yeah. So that's just a coincidence. But caused a flood and itself has been controversial. In particular, following the claims in 2002, the event was a major tsunami. However, evidence of the timing of the floods relative to the tides, other weather observations, and absence of any reports of any earthquake support the theory that the event was wind-driven storm surge superposing on a extreme tide, spring tide. Now, we have a thing here on this estuary here, it's world famous, it's like, I don't know if it's one of the only ones in Europe, it's called the Severn Bore. It's a tidal bore, where, as in the water will rush in up the River Severn, and at a particular time in the spring just decided to release itself, causing a bore, which is a mini tidal wave, all the way down the River Severn, which people go on surfboards and ride every year. So this whole area is mud flats. This, when it recedes or the tide goes out, all of this is mud flats. And just next to my city here is a port called Barry. I mean, it's the second deepest dock in the world. It has the second deepest rising tide in the world, next to another port in South America. And then when I was researching what you said, or what we've been looking at just now about that that earlier event, because, you know, I'm not so dismissing that at all. I'm just thinking that it's more recent. I think we're in narrower windows. And the evidence is there. So just bear with me a second, right? I don't want to read any more of that. I'm just showing you about this this event, okay? I can put a link for this in the chat feed now. Okay, so that happened here, and it was big in 1607. Same year as this comes out, King James Bible comes out the same era. The exact same year, the John Speed Atlas, the first in the world, apparently, public printed publication of atlases of the way the world is, all come out at this exact same year. And I found a key. On this John Speed map, I've got a version of it, I've got an atlas of his maps. He was a photographer for Elizabeth I. She gives him a custom house in London docks and says, make maps for the world. So he maps my city, Cardiff, and he maps a church called St. Mary's, which was destroyed in the tsunami. Yeah, he documents it the exact same year as it's apparently taken out. So it's like, what's going on? And then you find this out, that there was a calendar shift, and all of the dating has been completely wrong. They're saying here. So look at this. Let this fix the swellings of outrageous waters. I'm sure you might have heard of this saying. I've read it quite a bit, but there it is. That's what happened outside my window here right now in 1607. And you've got these plates all over my area here. There's a church just outside Cardiff. It's got it up on the top of the church, this sort of plaque. And they've got them on the other side in England as well. And this is apparently the floodline mark. But they say that you can't really date it because there was a calendar shift and it's not actually that year at all. So this is a local church that is not far from me in Wentlow, which is on Mudflats, just outside Cardiff. So this happened. So it wasn't the year 1606, it was the year 1607. Confusion lies with the use of the Juliana and Gregorian calendars. Now, something else I want to show you linked with that. So, oh, let me get that out of the way. Oh, I'll get to that now. So the comets. Now, let me just read this for you as well. Only a second. So do they all cause events on the ground? Well, the dates are at the top, so I'll just whiz through into this century AD. Now, 1066, there should be a comet. There it is. So that is the comet that is depicted on the Bayeux Tapestry with the invasion of Britain by the Normans, or William the Conqueror. Okay, when Harold gets an arrow in the eye. This tapestry is probably the only documentation we got of this entire era, okay, which is no accident. The medieval era is called Middle Evil because it's the Middle Evil era, is what I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, it's Middle Evil era. We're in the, oh, excuse me, I just hit my computer. We're in the evil era, and that was the Middle Evil era. We're in the late medieval era now. Very sinister. So there it is. So that's Halley's Comet. So we've got everyone saying Halley's Comet comes around every 73 years, what have you, and that proves that it's heliocentric. But I researched Halley's Comet, and it turns out very limited the evidence for repeated sightings, apparently, in our reality. So a couple of interviews on television, but I'm thinking, hang on a minute, is this just another comet they're giving a name for? But it's documented there, 1066, in this 1700s document. If you come up to the modern day and I start to go from a date that I deal with, like, a bit like Philip, is the 1500s, the Enlightenment. I think this is the period we need to deal with. I don't know what that is there. Maybe you could decode that. A bull with a star on his head. You've got crosses.
Star.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a comet, by the way. There's 3 comets here, and they all look like star crosses.
Yeah, you know, the Halley's Comet, like you're saying, you know, if there's only a witness here or there, then it's probably just a different comet every time, because that'll stump people. Exactly, yeah, because that's what stumps people. If you have a cyclical comet that comes around every 73 years, that's what stumps everybody, right? If it's just a comet that comes in, that falls from the dome, that comes in from the dome, you know, then you'll be thinking about the dome and what's going on with it. But if you have like this cyclical comet, it makes no sense in a dome. How do, you know, is it like a star just, you know,
yeah,
I think around a circle up there?
Yeah, they use it. I'm sure they use Halley's Comet or comets just to permeate the heliocentric nonsense. I really do.
Yeah, I do too.
Honestly, there just could be any old comet. It really could. There's not got a big name pad on a, you know, page on the side saying Halley, like a plane.
Yeah, like a neon sign as it goes by. Halley's Comet.
You know, well, you know, one comet looks like any other, as far as I'm concerned. But,
exactly.
Exactly. So I think they use that. So we'll come up to the 1500s and something really apparent, because this is in time scales we can deal with in tangible past. That's what I mean about the first millennium AD. The Dark Ages are called the Dark Ages because I don't believe they were even there. That's why they're dark. I believe something completely different was going on. I'm not dispelling any of what any of the myths that are going on. I think everything that is mythos is what we should be dealing with rather than what they give us, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Any of it.
I agree.
So I'll go from the 1500s and like 1505 you get a giant earthquake and a bit of an eruption from Vesuvius, and Naples lose 30,000 people. I'm not saying that's connected with a comet mind, but some of these definitely are. So it was the big one in 1509 in Constantinople. This was regarded as the Lesser Judgment Day, is how they regard this event in Constantinople in 1509. It was biblical, so it was huge. So what was the cause of that? Okay, now 1531 was the first Lisbon event. So there's an overwhelming theme that all of these are ports, and not only ports, they're all the richest ports on earth. Now, isn't that a coincidence that like
Oh.
San Francisco or Port Royal, which is another one. Look, and then in 1556, where there is a comet, China suffers the biggest earthquake ever in history, killing 10 million people. Okay, and then taking us up to 1692, the very well-known Port Royal in Jamaica, where an entire island, which has got big masonry colonial buildings, just disappears into the ground. All of it. The documentation, when you read it, makes your skin crawl. You think, how could this be? So 1730 was the huge one in Chile, in Valle Vespero, when grades that were there at the time apparently came up from the ground, from liquefaction of the ground itself. Well, I thought, what, not from a flood? From the ground itself. What could the earthquake shake the bodies up? And I posted on a thumbnail to that video when I posted about it. It showed all the gravestones just all to one side, and just all of the graves just come up. I thought that was really weird. So then you come out of this first one I showed you on this document was 1744. There's a big comet, all right, and it causes this huge Santorino, Turkey volcano and earthquake event, which was absolutely huge. And only a couple of years later, the major Lisbon was killed 80,000 to 100,000 people, all in the same, with comets. It's just wow. So, and they're coupled, like about 80% of them with calendar shifts. So are we in smaller pockets of time? Are they resetting this after like maybe 3 generations? Because we can't get anything past that period. We just can't. It's not there. Anything that's there is in cathedrals, and it's just lied about. Look, so you can't. This document here, it's them, isn't it? Because there's the Masonic pillars. You have the sun in the middle. You've got 2 pillars above it, so that's Masonic. But they show this. Look, Rosette, what do you think of this? It's the moon, and another fiery table with a spear coming out. Now, I've got a very famous medieval map. It's actually on my wall in my kitchen. I can't get it now. It shows, it's called the Elements map, and it shows all around our flat plate. It shows comets all the way around with swords and spears and arrows with them. So I'm thinking, hang on, are they actually telling us that these things are weapons? Now, taking us up to what I think is most significant is 1811. I think that is the key here. This is the situation of Missouri. Is this? I'll just give you a brief outline. It caused sickness and death, basically, to all people, plants, and animals due to fluorine poisoning all across America. And the New Madrid was said to have exhausted vast amounts of sulfur dioxide. At the same time, Grimszoff in Iceland, oh no, it's not the same time, but in 1783, not long before it, is cited for the European famine, which killed tens of millions and led to the French Revolution. This ash killed 50% of the Iceland's population from fluoride dioxide skeletosis. Fluoride dioxide skeletosis, excuse me. So I think that a lot of these deaths in this era are, of course, from that. The reason I'm thinking this is when you think of the 1700s, all of the men are in wigs and all the women are wearing white makeup. Now, I think the men are wearing wigs, not as a fashion accessory, but I think they got alopecia because they're losing hair, like you would with radiation poisoning, which is why all the men are wearing wigs in the 1700s. The women are all whitening their faces out. I don't think that is because it's a fashion accessory of the time. It's ugly. I think because of events in the era. I really, really do now. I think that's well, the more you think about it, you think, yeah, definitely. So then 1815, Tamabora, huge mud inundations is recorded with Tamabora earthquake. As you know, it was huge. And then the anomalous in 1908, the Tunguska event. No, what was that? Is there tangible evidence for his existence? Did it really happen? I'm not actually thinking it might have now. I'm not sure. You know, the first guy to go there 25 years after takes photographs in this, you know, this remote place, and the evidence is sketchy. I think there might have been something else going on there. I really do.
Which event is this?
The Tunguska event.
The Tunguska. Okay, yeah.
I frustrated there was a Tesla, because the very same year was when he was cited to be doing his death ray experiments. So I was postulating, oh, hang on, did he shoot it up at the dome and it came back down in Tunguska and airbursted? Poof, causing that event. But
yeah,
I'm not so sure, because when I research it, honestly, the information, I've got 3 books on Tunguska in the room, but yeah, the information is just the same old source. It's Frenchmen went there 25 years later, and then they went there in the 1980s and took photographs of splintered trees, you know, almost 100 years after the event, and nothing before. Just 2 expeditions. Nah, there's something wrong with that. I really do think something wrong with that. So yeah, I think that there's overwhelming evidence, from my mind, that comets could be weapons. And I'm thinking maybe not over the dome. I think that causes the atmosphere to ionize of some sort, because in the Iliad, Homer's Iliad, it says that basically it talks in planetary terms, but it said Venus came too close to the Earth's surface and it rained petrol. So I find that really intriguing. I think it's electrical arcing. This turned up last night, and I thought, oh, Rosette's going to be so excited when she sees this. So look at this, came in last night. This is over Wales. But look at the year, Rosette, look at the year, 1664, 2 years before.
1666.
Yeah, when the Great Fire of London, all of that gets taken out, St Paul's Cathedral, and replaced with all of Sir Christopher Wren's shiny new buildings, which I believe were actually there already, as Philip does himself. So this, remember you just said about that fiery monster? Look at this, over Wales. So this is not in that documented book. It's not there for this one. So that's not covering all comets, that commentary observation pamphlet from the 1700s. But look at this. It's like a big fiery beast. All right, they got the constellations, I get that. But look at this. So that was documented over Wales.
Wow.
I know, in 1664, again, at this seminal moment in our history. So I'm thinking, how is it? You got these major comets documented, and then you get a calendar shift on nearly all of them, and major events on the ground which are biblical, and seminal moments in history, like 666, 2 years before there's a giant comet with a fiery mouth. Come on. So I'll move on. I'm going to be brief. I'm going to keep you hours, but I've got so much I could go through. Wow, this turns up last night and it was mind-blowing. So what it is, the sacred theory of Earth, this one's early, it's late 1600s, right? But it explains comets in like the first, I haven't gone through all the small print. I got it like 2 last night. And
can I say real quick, Martin? You know how you're saying you think it's like every 300 years? Because remember then they're saying the Seattle, the tsunami, whatever that mega earthquakes do, and they said it's every 300 years.
They did just now, I know. And when you read it, I just I know.
Yeah, so it's like they're telling us, you know, all over, like prepare. It's like we're ready for that, like you're saying, it's every 300 years, and get ready for the shift.
Yeah, the government are cutting corners on the money. They're definitely saving for something. I think fiat currency's on its way out. You know, it's like the last throw of the dice for this civilization. It's broken. There's no way they can keep this cyclical thing going. There's no way they can keep this broken.
Yeah, it's like they knew it. They just had it. It's only supposed to go for 300 years.
Rosette, they just carnaged the plane. Look at the state of it. They don't even care. So there's reason behind that, because they know that there's no distant future without a reset system. So 1699 is when this turned up. It's not all in French, so it explains fiery things from the sky. I haven't gone through it all, but there's like this one here. Look, Hark, from here, weak foundations tall, a Berlin earth, a thunder flies. So the pillars of earth have shaken, and the earth flies up in the air, which is what you read about with New Madrid events. This whole area lifted up quite a bit. I'm not sure exactly. I think it's something like 15 meters, but still a considerable height. The whole state itself, the center of America, lifted up with this event. So it's incredible to me. And went right across the plain, you know. In fact, Napoleon's army apparently fed an army of 500,000 men all the way to Russia, mind you, 2,000 miles away from his supply lines. All right, he loses, you know, 2/3 of them. But I'm not even sure if that story actually happened now. But check this out, look. Yeah. And flees in joy, famed disgrace. I think the real fiery, oh no, it's this one below, excuse me, wrong one. And propped by the yielding seas no more. So there's another analogy to the seas being drained away here. I read about these on loads and loads and loads of these medieval transcriptions of events where it's like the plug's been taken out and all of the seas have run away. A dreadful cracking alarm in the skies. That again. Now that dreadful cracking, which they're akin to as 1,000 artillery guns all at the same second, that biblical cracking is reported on every single one of these events. All of them. It's just uncanny to me. Whole arches rent, their weight for plunges in opening of gulfs below. So everything is dropped into the ground. Now in New Madrid, yeah. And this book is full of these. And they're not just whimsical, they're describing different events, right? And it's the 1699. So I think because this is like so fresh in memory, I think that this is harking back to a time that is just like recent, before 1699. This 16, just coming up to 1666 thing is really sinister to me. Fancy there being a big comet year 2 years before it, Rosette, no one knew what I think to discover. So this is a pamphlet just full of explanations for what we're just talking about, but in word form for those pictures we see in the Middle Ages about inundations and resets. I found, I got a link here, I don't know if I haven't brought it up, Rosette, it's awesome, of the expositions in Paris in 1900, which is the World's Fair. I don't know whether you know about these, but the poster is Mount Vesuvius, everything just sinking into mud, a mud flow, which is not lava because it's in a mud color, people sinking in it, and they've put it on a poster for the Great Expositions. I thought, now, why the hell would they do that? And there's another picture below when everything's all calm again. I thought, is this an analogy for the reset? Whereas in it resets and then they come out, the controllers with their new way that the world's going to be. They literally, they burn cities all over the world, America as well, all of them. I got photographs of most of these being just burnt out. They use war, they use aerial bombardments, and I think really early on, you know, pre-American Civil War, I think they were using aerial bombardments to fight this. I really do. So they burn up the cities, they built these expositions, and they all go the same way. Via Chicago, Paris, all of them. So I think that that's like key. I think the expositions are key, and they're using on their poster reset systems. It's definitely sinister to my mind. So this is excellent, this link. I can give you that as well. But what it says in there is mind-blowing for what you just showed. It's just words to explain it all. I know. What we got here now? Oh no, that's just an earthquake pamphlet concerning New Madrid. It's going to be a hell of a read. I won't be able to read that, but it'll give you an idea of entire communities disappearing into the ground and canyons, and the canyons closing up again.
Do you think that they're managing it, you know, the managers or whatever, to make enough people die that they have 500 million left, like on the Georgia Guidestones?
They got to keep their slave population. So they got
so they don't want it to be extinction level, but almost extinction level. And then
So
everyone, and then just start the calendar anew with the people
they
that
could do it. Well, this is here, the Juliana calendar and the groundhog here. So it's years playing out over and over again. And people are stuck in the Middle Ages, and the peasant classes outside of the elites are not going to know anything about this. They didn't even learn to speak English apparently till the King James Bible. So apparently, we were just all muttering idiots apparently to this period. So there you are, the Juliana calendar proposed by Julius Caesar in 46 BC. But I thought this was incredibly interesting. This little bit here. Whereas in the 13th century, introduction of the Julian year further reinforces the view that monasteries had become established. Oh no, that's not it. Sorry. There you are. Before the introduction of Julian year, basically, England enjoyed momentous and numberless groundhog years that cycled through 12 liturgical months. So years playing out over and over again when they freeze them. And the people, because they're not educated and the slave classes, whether the survivor race in my mind, are not going to know all of this. I don't think they were subject to press. The printing press apparently was down to, they say in the history books, the Caxton press. That's the history books. Yet. The Romans had wax plates with styluses, didn't they? So I can't imagine the Romans not working out, or whoever the Romans were, to put a piece of paper over that wax sort of impression and make a print.
Yeah.
So, that's just bullshit. And then they tell you the Romans had these scrolls. And I'm like, no, they had styluses and wax plates. They could have made print easy. They weren't stupid. So, there's the idea out there. The years are playing over and over and over, cyclical. So we've lost a lot of time. And this is only what resets we've picked up on. What's out in public domain. Imagine what we don't know. Because, this stuff we just don't know. So I think they just do things like this over and over again. Oh, this is just something separate. I was posting about last night, completely separate subject, but not really. Astrological clocks in antiquity was tended to think that they might be actually flat earth clocks because they've all been subject to change. We basically called it the other day. That they have had the numerals replaced from like Arabic to Roman numerals, but around the 1890s mark, all of them across the plane. And what was on them before was what we believe is a flat earth clock because they're all telling the time on a what they call planetary scale. But you can't put this ball on a clock, can you? Because the face is not going to be able to go around it. So it's all on a flat azimuthal. And I believe that's what's happening with every clock in antiquity, is what I believe right now. And I found about, I don't know, maybe a dozen or more clocks that have definitely been hampered and changed with. Now, I've got the official version of how all of this dating and change happened. I'm not going with official rubbish because I can't verify that. But they are definitely subject to change. The very least, history in the change. So, that was last night.
Yeah, that's cool.
It is quite cool.
I think for sure because how our dome is set up with the constellations above us like a clock. You have the 12 constellations above us, like the 12 hours on the clock. Everything, it's all set up by design. So a clock's gonna, it's the as above, so below. So it's definitely the clock's gonna reflect the as above.
Yeah. Oh well, we layered it with azimuthal equidistant maps over these clocks. We've layered them, and they've shifted them around so that the 12 o'clock position is now at the 9 o'clock position. Okay, the astrological clock. Yeah, I know. But originally they were on 24-hour. And when you layer an azimuthal with the way that basically the sun's on one arm and the moon on another, it actually works perfectly. It's like Kerching moment, I think.
Wow, yeah.
I know what we did. So this turned up this week, and it's another Gallica, architecture of starfoots, and that's where that Deuve, or that word for turned up on this building here. Really got me intrigued. I've had many translations for this, now at Rosette, many, but it's God in French, or in Belgian, it's wild as well. But there's many translations as being untamed or ferocious. So there's like sinister connotations. Well, whatever this is, and this spark reaching up out of what looks like some sort of atmospheric energy gathering device. There's all aerials on it. What look like, I can't imagine that being a fountain up on a roof. So it's some sort of device to me.
Yeah, and it has it looks like a fleur de lis at the top of it.
There's a fleur de lis on it. Well spotted.
Yeah, so that would be a symbol of the controllers. You know?
But check this out, right?
Little, leaves up above, the Roman leaves up there.
Exactly. Oh yeah, the laurel of control.
Yeah,
exactly. For Caesars. But check this out, right? All of these buildings, or this one in particular, is built on sacred mandala principles, as in fractal geometry, as in, you know, like a Buddhist tanka or a Buddhist mandala. I've got one on my room wall. Well, this building's built on exact principles of mandala. I couldn't believe it when I seen it. Check this. Check this. That's a building design, right? Rosette, check this out. Fleur de lis in it.
Wow.
You got the Celtic band in here, H's. Yeah. C's in the triangles. What's this here with all of these numbers and numerals around the sun? And C in the diamonds. And this is a design for a building and gardens, you know.
Wow.
And it's so encoded. I know. I think that's like a bit like that Tudor rose you mentioned on your vlogs. Because there's the Tudor rose again. Do you see it? Which is our flat plane, isn't it? I think it is. The Tudor rose. It's all over it. Yep. So a building built on them principles. It's still a star fort as well, though. Isn't it incredible?
Yeah. And what is this? What is this building? Where is this at? This building?
Let's just take a look.
Is it an actual building that we could see today, or is it you just found it doesn't exist anymore?
No, I don't think so at all. That's what was asked me. Where is it? So it's a front facade, but it doesn't give me a destination or anything. This microfilm's like recently decoded, so it's not in a pamphlet in the beginning either. So I can't really drag and drop it to find out. But it looks like it's the one in Belgium. It looks to me like maybe that's in Antwerp or something. It looks definitely Flemish by style, I would say. But based on proving the star forts are built on cymatic principles. They're built, you know, they're to do with vibration and well, fractal energy. But look at this, right? Rosette, they got skyscrapers in the 1700s. This is a 1700s design, right? And not only that, I'll blow your mind in a minute. I found in here, it's like a section of this star fort, and it's full of skyscrapers. Now, I've posted about skyscrapers in antiquity, and I know Philip has, but 1700s, okay? So your visions of the Victorian era, 100 years later, there are no skyscrapers. This is not happening. So same thing, sort of energy gathering, sort of what it looks like. We've got that capability, because these balls, you see these balls? No, I worked in stonemasonry. I actually carried one of them onto a roof of a hotel once. But they are for aesthetic purposes now. I don't think they do anything per se, but maybe they do. Something that's more subtle that we don't understand in the architecture, I mean. I think that even though this antiquitech, what we call it, is decommissioned now, I think that some of the principles may still exist on these this sort of building, yeah? So it shows now up in a minute, it shows, look at that one. And they all got this side tower with the hole in the middle and some magic patterns, exactly the same. This is no church. This is what is to me, and what I think is part of this energy gathering system. They seem to have little substations attached to them for some reason. But one shows up in a minute. That is very, very intriguing. It's got there. So this is inside the star fort. Now I noticed that you don't get much outside the star fort. The settlements are inside them. It's a lot of star fort plans. There's no buildings whatsoever. And then they get this. This is giant blocks, like city blocks. Check this out. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-story, 8-story building there. So what's that in the center? It's a 20-story skyscraper in the 1700s.
Wow.
And not only that one, and it's in its own literal star fort. This is like Dark City. Have you ever seen anything like it in your life? It's just, and built on the principles like mandala, practical geometry principles. So we know there's more going on now. And what about these blocks? There's a skyscraper. They're literally skyscrapers on every corner. Okay, and these blocks, and they're like just futuristic. It's like what you get now, only more so. And these on each corner, which to me, again, look exactly like a modern day power station. Do they not? They do. Without the chimney, of course, but they do look like a modern day power station.
Yeah.
I thought that was very telling to be able to have, you know, how much we don't know our history when we find things like this that are showing skyscrapers in the 1700s. Who knew? Who knew? So I think that's me. But they again, look. So what the hell? So what are they doing? People have been prostrating all week in my comments. What do you think these are doing? And somebody said they're keeping up wild beasts. And I was thinking, like, well, could it be like upset giants, or right, or dragon attacks, or actually could these keep you protected from an electrical arcing event? You know, is they to do with surviving these times in between? Because I know like these epidemics hit after these events, and they kill tens of millions, like the cholera epidemic following New Madrid event, which they say killed people all over the world. But I can't see how a cholera epidemic could wipe out tens of millions worldwide, can infect every single watercourse on Earth. Even that fresh mountain stream over there, you know, hasn't got cholera. So that's rubbish. So something else killed all those people. And then as Philip has posted, and I've posted, there's people missing in cities in the mid-Victorian era between a narrow window of time, like 1850 to 1855, say. If you catch these pictures in this rustic brown colour, which I think are from a previous reset these days. I really do. I really do. It's like photography held over from another time, because there's a bit of a conspiracy about the age of photography when you research into Kodak. Apparently it's been around a lot longer than what we might imagine. So that's me. That's me for the moment. Stop sharing. So it's quite good, isn't it? Oh, it's awesome.
It blows me away.
I've done all week, Rosette. It's been an amazing week. But I enjoyed Philip's video on 3D, possible 3D printed reality of buildings. That was incredible. Then I thought it'd be fun, but wow, what if? What if? How would we know? How would we know? Look at the artworks. How would they have been produced? You know, no man with a chisel making them artworks of the Renaissance period, the Beninis. There's no man making a Benini. That guy, a teenager in his bedsit, did not do those statues. Okay. There's something else going on, I reckon. Definitely. Definitely. But you can see the technology, how advanced it is, Rosette. They've got skyscrapers and these advanced star forts, yet they're telling us this era is wooden, just out of the Tudor era buildings, really run down, streets are not there, no infrastructure per se, which apparently the cities haven't got yet. Star forts.
Yeah.
Advanced, reinforced concrete in a lot of cases. Not in the Malta ones and that, they're stone, but a lot of these cases is reinforced rebar concrete in that era.
Yeah, it seems like we're behind, you know, on the technology for sure, compared to the, you know, what you've uncovered, what you guys have shown.
It's all there. The evidence is there. Why it's coming out now, I don't know. So, you know, I discovered this ship yesterday that's apparently from the early 1700s, which carried 15,000 men. It had 4 windmills on each corner. I posted about it last night, and it was driven by windmills driving these huge wheels. This thing was mechanical in the early 1700s, not wind driven, and it carried 15,000 troops. It carried hundreds of 48-pound cannons. And it was
a ship.
It's a more than a ship. It was a raft. A raft. It had a center island, and when you magged in on it, it had it was like a skyscraper. Each veranda had little tiny dots, which are people, and it had entire animals right the way around this center piece, and it held 15,000 people. And it's in this bay, and there are other ones of it as well. And I looked at it, blew my mind. I thought, how can I not know about this stuff? Why could they hide this from us in history books? It's just mind-blowing. This was yesterday at this came.
Wow.
I know. It was just like, wow, bam. How could this be? And when you see it, you're like, they haven't even got battleships. Well, they have got battleships that carry 15,000, but that's only like troop ships. They haven't got 15,000 active troops with hundreds of 48-pound cannons bristling around this giant machine, which it was. It was just mind-blowing that we don't know these things about our past. And the 1700s, they are evil, or they are tainted. There's something going on across this takeover that's happened. Is just, like I said, the medieval era period. Now we're in the later evil period, and you can feel it as well. Definitely can. And as I said, they're definitely tightening their grip here. I can feel it. Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The more people that wake up, the more the consciousness shift comes on, because it is accelerating. Everyone can feel it. The more people awake, consciousness works that way. As you know, the more people awake, the more people awake again. 100 monkey effect, as you know. So I can feel it in the ether. I feel, even though I can't see them, I can feel their grip coming undone, if that makes sense. So some people get worried.
I think so. That's why they did the YouTube scourge or whatever, purge or,
Yeah, well, there's more than that coming. There's EU legislation now. They're getting rid of truthing on YouTube, so everyone's going to be jumping to other platforms very, very shortly. A few YouTubers been posting about it. I've had maybe 3 or 4 people give me links saying, you need to see this, Matt. This is finite. So I think this may be our last push on you. But there are other formats as good as YouTube with all of it. But no people are there because they're all here. So they haven't got the exposure or the coverage or the people. But I think everyone will shift to these other formats that are out there, which got it all. They'll have to, if this is going to be over with.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Yeah. Yeah, the censorship continues. I survived the purge of 2018. They literally got rid of my copy strike yesterday, but they got rid of a load of flat earthers all at the same time yesterday. Came back live. The Morgul came back live, other people. I'm like, that's really strange. We all like, and our copyright's over the same day. It's like almost as if it's like them flat earthers giving their channels back. Go on. Let's watch it.
Yeah, they seem to be a little more lenient right now, because usually when I upload a video, I get copyright notices, like a bunch.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and I'll get and I didn't. My last one, I just did The Handmaid's Tale, and I didn't get anything.
Wow.
And that's weird. I usually get a bunch that have.
Maybe they're giving us enough rope. They what they do, I noticed with YouTube, is they set people up. A couple of these events that happened in the last year, I've seen as clearly set up for us on YouTube. So everyone just poured into it, and Russian vids and all the rest, and all lost their channels. And I sat back from I'm not going to mention any of these events, but I sat back and watched it and thought, no man, that's put there deliberate for us. And it was, because the things, these events disappear from the public mind like they never happened.
Yeah.
And a load of YouTubers are taken out with the story, like people like Russian vids or PK Truth, people like that got taken out for reporting on these things. So I feel like they're set up. So I feel a lot of stuff that might be put on the internet is to feed us, to give us enough rope maybe to hang ourselves. So I'm very, very careful about what they present with, what people run with. So I'm careful of that for sure. But we are watched like a hawk on here because of the nature of what we're doing, and we're flat earthers and more, another field that are really changing the paradigm. They really are changing the paradigm, because what we're finding out now. Think about it. It's nothing like we thought it was. Nothing like we thought it was. And the evidence is there. It's in documentation. It's on the ground. I get on the ground and I look at this antiquity, and the resets are there. They're there. All of it, you can see them. That's why they put these buildings on top of old buildings. They're tapping into some energy center, like ley line crossing points, or some toroidal or little vortex points. You can see this with churches. Where churches are built, we see like crisp packets blowing up in a vortex or a bit of rubbish. So there's like little energy centers around churches. And I think that's why they put these buildings on these nodal points. I think that's why they do it. And they're all connected with water as well. watercourses underneath most of these places. I've noticed as well. So I think that might be something to do with it. But yeah, that's me.
No, I agree. I think there is. I think you're onto something. Everything you said, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
hey, Philip, are you still with us?
maybe nodded off. It's Sunday morning.
You've put up so many topics on top, so I don't know what to start with.
I do a lot of topics.
I probably start with censorship because it's the cause of all the changes. Because censorship is, on the one hand, is just to control, and on the other hand, it's like a homework for the controllers. Like they see what people really come up with, and they shut it down the next time they do resets and stuff like this. So it's like a hint for them what to do for the next time. Okay, from my point of view, we have a couple of resets recently, and I kind of agree with that, but I don't agree quite on the ages, the actual time that was brought to us in those pictures that you shown. I think that what we know is of medieval is probably what we supposed to throw way back to the timeline, way back to those ages when we didn't have any technologies. So what they did is they pulled these documents, those evidence, to closer to our era, so we can like think that we were miserable not that far ago. Okay.
Right.
So this is how they explain those changes to the smart people that are still left, and this is the way to control them. It's just to say, like, look, not that long ago you were like, you know, riding the horses, so be happy with the steam engine and stuff like this. So this is the way they explain it. Okay, so probably one reset was in 19th century, and it was like between 1812 to 1840s, and this is probably the time when they did the flooding, which I think was controlled by some reasons and some technologies that they used during the miming and fracking. So they probably shut down all those locks at that time, and when the time came, they opened up the locks and the mud came out like a volcano type of eruption in all those cities and the Star Force, and they all flooded with the mud. And even the pictures you just shown, we see the ground floors windows are still sticking out. So probably they were flooded by the mud, and these are just the blueprints of the restoration of the building, so they could, you know, bring up stairs or stoops, whatever you call them, to the higher floors, which are now used as entrances to
the doors. Yeah,
that's what we have in Kremlin. We also have the flooding of the mud inside the Kremlin. So inside the walls, it's easy to flood the area. So the antique buildings are not in a pure site right now. What they used to do is to hide the antique technologies from us. They hide all this antique stuff. And still, this stuff is still sticking out, and we can still see it, because you can just totally pure all this mud everywhere, because it's just impossible for them to use the world after it, because, you know, well, it's impossible, I think. Yeah. So what they do is they targeted those floodings to the populated areas, and they probably gathered the people inside there, those areas before the flooding, so the people could be, you know, massacred, and all those secrets could be hidden after it. And also they burned the books each time. They burned the libraries. They burned They burned the cities that they couldn't be, you know, changing for their good. That's why we see all those fires of Chicago, London, Moscow, Paris, and all those fires.
Hey, Philip, can I mention real quick? So, you know, like you're saying that they have the people come to the cities, reminds me of Agenda 21. You know,
of course.
Yeah. So it's like that's part of it, to get us all in the cities. Cram us all in, and then do another event.
Yeah, because the rural population is in general less educated and redneck, whatever you call it. So you can do whatever with this plastic mass of brains of those rural people who are less educated, not scientifically degreed and stuff like this. So And those who are scientifically, those who are, and actually the power and force of all this, moving force of all these processes is the change of the religion and the change of calendar, which I totally agree with Martin, that some type of shift did occur during the change of a calendar. Because in Russia, we have like 7,580 something, like right now, 84 or something like this, in old Russian calendar. In Jewish calendar, we have like 5,000 something a year, and in current Gregorian calendar, we have like only 2018. So like this is a type of erasing of the history before the Christianity, came. So probably before the Christianity, what we know today was some duality religion era, where some Vedic knowledge, the so-called pagan gods, were actually existing and were representing the physical powers of this world.
I agree.
And also we have something like worshiping of the sun, which could be actually transformed to Christianity, which also shown in many of your videos about decodings of cross and the sun and stuff like this. And this is all symbolism of what we know today is a total control power. And religion is also control power. So you have to control smart people. You give them science, and you tell that religion is false, and they, integrate to science and integrate to their lives, their cycles of research into science, and get deep into this bullshit. Because once they get stick into this, drain the swamp, all this stuff, you get drowned in the swamp. And
going to quantum mechanics, you'll find that out happening.
You can, bring good ideas to some bad swamp area and still get stuck in the swamp, although you have a good idea.
Definitely.
Because it all depends on the funding, all depends on the scholarships, and all depends on the money. So if you get all the scholarship, if you get all this funding, if you get the budget, you get a research. If you don't get it, you don't have a research. You become an outcast. You become somebody who's in disgrace and doesn't have any, means to do what he wants to do. So probably before the previous reset, there was one huge reset, which we know as biblical flooding.
Yeah.
And this is what we probably can be reading right now in a science book as the raising of the oceans. So that's what I'm thinking, because
it's good. It's good. Do you think there's any possibility that the continents themselves could actually rise and fall? Because there's a change. I know it sounds mad, but there's changes on the medieval maps which show large parts of the world inundated with water, as in India's separate. There's a waterway, and it's not Sri Lanka, it's India. It's not connected. You have large lakes in where Oregon is in America. There's a huge lake. There's a huge lake in northern China on medieval maps. There's an inland sea in Australia that was there apparently when they got there in the 1700s. So there's a lot of inundation. So I'm thinking, could it have been, the water receding after, say, an event? Could it be that they're actually the land itself is rising?
Well, who knows? We know about the gases and stuff like this. So the gas could be probably pushing some land on top. But we also know about so-called mining processes, which are actually good evidence of ancient technologies. And we can see all these mining traces in all these areas like Grand Canyon and many places like Hawaii, Cuba, Puerto Rico, everywhere. So probably after the quarry is done, it gets flooded. And just to erase the evidence of that, so the people on top would just go to the mountains, go to the hills, just to save their soul. That's why we have so many islands right now, which could be connected to the continents in the future, in the past. So probably this is the reason, not just the rising of the land,
No,
just the
okay.
flooding of it. It's okay with that. So what did I wanted to say? So I wanted to say that the huge erase could cause the change of religion itself and could change the model of the world. So before that, everybody knew the earth was flat.
Yeah.
And after this erase, people started believing in this heliocentric theory. And that caused us to change the religion also, because religion was for stupid people and the science was for so-called smart people, and they were like directed to the same bullshit story of nothing in end. So you go to this 33rd level degree of knowledge in the finish. You go there, you go on the top of this pyramid, whatever. You see this all-seeing eye blinking to you and saying, look, you're a fool. You wasted whole life for this just to see. You could have, figured that before, because we just use you people. We are parasitic control of this world, and we use your minerals, your daughters, like those dragons that come in for the daughters of the beautiful women.
Yeah, man.
Young women, just using your genes, your blood, your organs, your minerals, your water, your air, everything you got.
Just batteries.
We use it, and you just
batteries.
wasted your life for all this research, and you came up with nothing.
I know.
This is the purpose of this control, because they mislead all those smart people to different areas of research, and they just get stuck in the swamp. That's my point.
Agreed. And they never learn anything. And they get to the end and they've learned a zip about their existence or the meaning of life, which is what all of us are searching for. Yeah, you're right there. How about this? How about this idea? You're saying, I believe exactly the same. We're on a mining operation here. But how about this? That if we think bigger, the seas are salt, aren't they? So the fresh water is fresh water. So what made the sea salty? So could it have been like, when you witness a coastline, like it looks like it's been carved away the same way as, say, Grand Canyon or other sites we know of. So could the coastlines been carved away and basically all of the seawater being maybe mineralized by cutting into aquifers? So what I'm thinking is, is the mining operation a lot bigger than what we initially thought? Because it's definitely a mining operation, there's no doubt about that. So that's what I was thinking.
I think just the salt is just the type of septic.
Right.
Yeah, so the people cannot, survive in the salt water, right? So nobody can. So this is just a way to push the people away from the.
Yeah, because we can't drink the water. It's perfect, isn't it? We can't, we got all that water and we can't go anywhere because we can't drink it. It's
and they keep making people smaller and smaller and smaller and weaker and weaker and weaker each time. So after each reset, we lose some type of height, with some percentage of our height and some.
Must be like Superman in the back in the past.
We lose our guards, we lose our noblemen who were like, protecting us from something, from this or that, and we lose the connection to the goal of our life, because we lost it. We don't know why we're here, or we just harvested with energy, or we are just harvested with soul or fear. Yeah. What are they doing to us? We don't know the actual purpose. We can only guess. We can only refer to some edited books, talk and guess and guess and guess. That's it.
I still feel there's something benevolent there in the ether. I do feel that darkness. I feel it like literally like permeating in the ether. I feel it all the time, especially when I'm quiet. I feel it all the more then. But I do feel there's like a benevolent force in creation, working for the greater good. I always feel for.
Like that, like the Hopi prophecy, was saying that there are a few people, it's like the awake people, not like trying to put us all on a pedestal or something, But
No,
you
I
know,
think it all
the
the
way
time.
people trying to figure out what's going on, it's like through all the different cultures, you know, the people that are awake, whatever, are doing what the true purpose is here. You know, we're
Yeah.
doing what we're supposed to, not for the controllers. You know, like for what God wants us to do here,
So
Exactly.
that we're doing.
they kind of simplifying the meaning of life to just one thing: survival of some elites who are, informed more than the rest of the people.
Yeah. Give them just a life of worry. So all they do is worry about stuff and they never think about their environment. Yeah, it's really clever.
Yeah.
It's like an explanation to a weak person. He gets robbed each time he meets those, nasty guys who are stealing stuff from him, robbing him, beating him. And he's just, at some certain point, he's supposed to, don't mind this. Like he's like, totally closing his eyes. He doesn't feel anything. He doesn't hear anything. They kicking his ass. They stealing from his pockets, from his wallets. They raping his daughters. They raping his, kids, pedophile and all this stuff. And he's like closing his eyes, closing his mouth, and closing his ears, like those monkeys of Japan. Don't see anything, don't say anything, don't listen to anything.
Yeah, see no.
That's what we see no evil, say no
Speak no
evil.
evil, hear no evil. Yeah.
This is the way they're supposed to do it. So
Yeah.
and
So
we're
when you're
supposed to don't mind it, just
Yeah, so when you're really awake, like all of us, when you go to a regular job, one of those jobs, like me, I have to work full time and I can't stand being at work. It is so excruciating for me. I look at the people that I work with. I mean, I work with nice people, but they're all completely asleep and my job is meaningless. I mean, I know it is. So I'm fully awake. I'm supposed to love my job. I'm supposed to go to it, do really good there, be a good little worker, but I am it's not my world.
It's harder when you know. It's harder when you know.
It's so hard. I have to mentally force myself. You don't know. I mean, I have to sit there and go, okay, gotcha. Oops, I just said my name. Rosette. But I'm like, oh, I got to do this. But, I got to make myself. And it's so hard just to get up, to go to work, everything. I can't stand it anymore,
But you got to keep it going because this is how we're just stuck in a control system and we all need the system to survive, unfortunately. None of us can go off grid, and not many of us, and live off grid because they've made circumstances to make that nearly impossible too.
Yeah, and they want people to think that off-grid people are crazy, like that the one actor on that plays Mr. Robot, and then he did the movie Buster's Malhart, So he plays us. He plays the crazy guy that wants to live off the land, So then anyone that's asleep that sees that crazy guy is going to think he's like, a murderer. He looks like like a
something wrong with him.
Yeah, just like a wild man, and watch out, he's gonna shoot you or something. You gotta get him,
Alienated, yeah, just for wanting to be off grid. But you can't even do that. Not many can unless they're really wealthy and they own their own land and water, of course, because they need to own their own water. Because you apparently can't take the runoff. Like there was some people here, they bought land and they went off grid in Wales. A couple of farmers actually, and basically they had a well in the garden, so for their water, so they had to pay water rates and water bills. And the water people turned up and said, "Oh no, that's our water because that mountain there belongs to us. That water's running off of it," and that's what they do.
Yeah.
So, literally, we have some people who really believe in God and so religious. And what are they waiting for? They're waiting for Messiah. They're waiting for return of the Christ, the apocalypse, Armageddon, the end of the world, Judgment Day, whatever you call it. It's just a catastrophe for the rest, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have smart people who are rather smart, I'd say. more intellectual, more IQ people that believe in science, what they actually do is the same thing. They waiting for some, you know, some cataclysm. They predicting catastrophes. They predicting, you know, black holes in the skies. What they do is just, you know, all this catastrophic agenda in both hands, religion and the science. They all do the same thing. They lead us to catastrophes. And this is actually the message that sooner or later this cycle repeats. And this information is being brought to us by our ancestors. This is the only thing they couldn't have hid. They brought it in fairy tales. They brought it in legends, in paintings, and all this stuff. And the stuff you've been showing today, Martin, about the comets, we saw plenty of missiles there, and
it's so similar.
It's just the same thing. So one religious scientist is more dangerous than any comet, because he could be pressing a button and sending those missiles in the air. And
I think I thought it, yeah.
That's why they, you know, engage all these wars, religious wars, which are actually pushing those elites, pushing those scientists which are under control of the elites, of creating some enormous weaponry to shoot him when they used to, when they know the time is right to do that, because it's a survival era. And if they prepared and the rest of the elites is not, it's time to press the button, because when they erase everybody else, they become the only rulers. And this is type of a competition between them, because they all threaten each other. I can use this and I can use that. And this is just, you know, the war race or weapons race, whatever you call it. It just leads us to the same thing, the catastrophe, because the scientific research is under control of government funding, which is under control of religiously brainwashed elites, which are is actually a network of satanic, misleaded fools. They can do everything, and they can sell their daughters to be a transgender. They can
they don't care.
They don't care. They don't have any moral principles.
No, they don't do empathy. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just a game of cards, you know. Actually, chess, white against black, just the same thing. The black people is just the evil people. White is the kind or good people, you know, good people. This is the eternal fight between those who are look stupid but act smart, and those who look smart but act stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed. Beautifully put.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got us by the short curlies, all right. No which way we turn, but maybe we'll all get raptured.
Yeah. It's interesting.
People do get worried, though.
I wonder where the comets come from, because they're solid, they're fire, you know. So it's like, because you think up above, you think we have a dome, and then so if there's an earth and it's flat above us, you know, because there's supposed to be the waters above, but then you see in the mural, it looks like it could be, you know, like a flat plane, or, you know, like, is it the earth from from above us, you know, pieces?
It's all from here. Martin just said about the Tunguska, and it was probably made by Tesla. So this is just another example. A smart person acting stupid and creating this catastrophe just for no reason, for his own, you know, lab test. Just the same thing that could have been happened to all those comets before.
Oh, so you think all the comets are earthborn?
Handmade.
They were all earthborn, from the earth.
Yeah. I think they're shot from maybe the other side of Antarctica or something. But within our own, this place is very big. We don't know the size of this canopy. Whether it comes down on the edges, I don't actually think so. It could be a gaseous layer. We got no proof of this, apart from ancient religions, all of them, and texts, all of them. So I think in the way it's explained, going from the southwest on that event you mentioned in the first millennium AD, the Arthur event, and the Dragon Comet and the Napoleon's Comet go into the southwest, the same direction. Struck me as, wow, like, are they all being shot from the same direction? And then when you follow it on an azimuth, it comes from like over the ice wall way. So sort of down towards the Antarctica Peninsula way it sort of comes from. So I'm thinking they got something that they just shoot from that direction. That's what I've been thinking.
So the Napoleon comet, though, you said where was it first sighted? It was just sighted over France then? That one?
No, man. The Napoleon comet started in America. First sighted, it came in from the west. It went across Missouri, causing Missouri events. It was a comet storm, so it was more than one, causing what they call the year without winter, when all crops failed worldwide. So that can only lead to mass starvation for years and years after. There's the circumstances of Napoleon's invasion of Russia, when he gets to apparently Philip City and is completely devoid of people. There's no people. They say they've evacuated, gone east, but I think something else has happened. There's no food. He's apparently fed this entire army, from all the way from France on foot. In the worst winter on a record, and this lasted for years and years. This is not just because it leads up to 1815 and then Tambora. So I believe exactly the same as Philip. I think this was like the mud flood, that we witness in these Victorian buildings now when they've added staircases up. And I think they were cleaning it up in the 1850s with these photographs that we see of these cities empty. I think that was the cleanup time, because a lot of the buildings touched up. There's some new masonry being shown. All the plaques for anybody who was there before have been wiped clean, the previous occupants, so to speak. And then these cities are like sort of cleaned up, ready for the next occupants, so to speak. It's really weird, like mini presets.
Yeah.
Before any attack in the war, you're supposed to have an artillery shootout at the enemy positions, right? And you're supposed to have an air bombardment for a better result.
Yeah.
So comets should be just the representation of maybe some drone or some missile attack with the carpet bombing effect of the whole area. And after that, the Napoleon intrusion is just a representation of civil war between those forces and those elites who were left after this attack. So they started fighting, and what we see actually is the dawn of the Qing era, with the rising, the final rising of the British Empire, and the rest of them just disappeared in all this history line. So Germans disappeared, Turks disappeared, Russians were murdered, and we can just the huge line of those who were just massacred. And they were just the same family before. And
William, Nicholas, and George.
It was just the same family. And we have this idea that right now the elites are still the same, and they all relatives to each other. And even Putin and Medvedev, presidents of Russia, just the relatives of Nikolai Romanov and the Tsars before, which were called Ruriks dynasty of Russia, and even the daughter of Christ, so-called daughter of Christ, which was assigned in the line of Georgian and Armenian kings, and so the Medvedev supposed to be like a relative of them. So who knows? Maybe this is a final fight between the Romanovs, which are actually Windsors, and the Romanovs in Russia, which are actually Putin and Medvedev. Who knows? It's just that guy that I've been showing lately about the 3D word printing. He's telling this story all over again. So I'm not just quite affected by this, but this needs to be researched, and probably this is a good idea. Why British don't like Russians, and why Russians still go to London and bring all this money there. And so who knows? And probably Germany is just the same as Russia, and probably we have the same dynasty there because they were their old brothers and sisters. And
William Went was replaced, wasn't he, by well, the Weimar Empire or the Weimar Republic. So they were taken out. Any monarchy in Germany as well. So exactly the same. So yeah, all monarchies taken out. British ruled the roost up until about the 1900 mark. After the First World War, Britain loses all of its empire, but apparently gives it away, like Hong Kong, like really important.
It looks like it loses, but it doesn't not.
No, it doesn't, because it's still got full control. It's not full control.
All the money.
And then they get the votes in the United Nations because they control all the countries, right? So now they got a ton of votes.
They have in G7 they have USA, they have Canada, and they have Britain. At least 3 votes in G7, right? They have at least 2 votes in Security Council, which is Britain and USA, right? So nobody can beat their decision. And they have allies which are totally integrated into the system. It's NATO and Japan, and even China is an ally in some or other way, because Hong Kong and all this stuff, we can't forget about it, right? Hong Kong is not that simple, and China drug wars are not that simple. India is not that simple. Although they left India, but they still there.
Yeah, so agreed.
It's just the way it goes. You steal all the money, and you leave those who are,
change the bosses, same as
change the bosses,
same as the old boss. Yeah,
and they rob the other way, other methods, and bring money the other way, and the people are under control.
Isn't the USSR though? Russia's the same way, yeah? Because
of course,
yeah, they broke it up from USSR, but they still control all the satellites.
Yeah, I've been talking about
from the satellites.
I've been talking about the guys who were actually representing 2 systems of capitalism and communism, and they all lead to the same thing, just the global control. But the results are different. The capitalism wants the winning of global capital, and the communists want the win of global capital and then the global revolution after it, because they can't have the global revolution if there's no global capital. Okay. So it leads to the same thing, and the communism is still a Jewish propaganda brought to us. The Zionist propaganda, not the Jewish, the Zionist propaganda. Zionist, right?
Back in the days of communism, when I was in the merchant navy, Philip, I went on a lot of Russian ships. I went to a few, 2 Russian ports, but a lot of like Poland, East Germany, and they always had each. The people that went ashore, the Russians, always had to have a commissar with them. And they would say 10 Russians, and they would have 1 commissar, and every commissar was always Jewish. Overwhelmingly commissars during the Russian Revolution, 9 out of 10 were Jewish. So I think they got a definite hand in it all, for sure.
We have this the whole United Nation before that, and as I've researched, the Jews were just the special forces. They were called the Jews because they were special forces, special forces and intelligence service people. They're highly intelligent, they're highly educated, and they also knew what's going on. That's why they're closer to the feed the resources. They're closer to bankers. They're closer to financial.
All of the kids are all on all hackers. They're all given scholarships to do it in Israel. So
it's like the catastrophe came like Walking Dead, like this series in USA right now, and we see many different people survive and trying to interact after this catastrophe, killing all those zombies, and they may be looking at us, the rest of the population, as zombies right now, right? This is just one of them is a cop, the other one is a doctor, and maybe one of them is a secret service agent, and he knows more than the rest, and he could be controlling them and establishing his own management above them, even if they don't know that. Okay,
yeah, makes sense.
he could be putting puppets and covering himself and being always under cover, and this hidden hand.
That's how it works
here. So the one who has more information, the one who has fooled each and everyone around him, is the controller, not the one who is actually representing the elites. Those stupid MF guys are crazy, and I've been saying this many times. They know something, but they don't know the whole picture, the whole puzzle.
Yeah, because if you look at the hidden hand, Napoleon did the hidden hand.
They all do it.
Hitler did the hidden hand. Stalin did the hidden hand. Yeah, exactly, all across the board. So
it's the same society of the slave masters, right?
Yeah.
But they are not the owners. They are not the owners.
Even Prince Harry did the hidden hand.
And they wear the same jackets as Nikolai II Romanov Salazar.
Yeah, they're on like some Malta badges as well. Even Harry has got it on. So
yeah.
And they bring in those wives to enrich their royal lines. Like one is Jewish, and the last one that was married is probably some Ethiopian. Ethiopians, don't laugh at me. Ethiopians think and they believe they close to Israel. They close to Egypt, and they have the best knowledge of the religion of the Christ, and they think that Christ was black, and they think. And they have all this evidence of that, and so if you go there, you probably cannot, argue with them, because they have a lot of information, and they even have the Ark of
the Covenant,
something like a church where. So it's just a whole other topic. So many people know that Jesus Christ was kind of black and African. So, and you just can't argue with them when you know this information. That's why probably they pull in these Ethiopian bloodlines to the royal line, although it looks very, very lower than the royal line of the current Windsors, right? So it's like marrying the peasant, or just a slave.
Well, Haile Selassie was from Ethiopia, and before the Second World War, for no apparent reason I can't work out, Benito Mussolini invades Abyssinia, and it's really far from home. I keep thinking it's for the Ark of the Covenant, like you said, because he was after something there to invade that country and go to this great effort. Definitely, I think.
Yes, I'm sure it's because of that. And Moscow is also a sacral place. There is a bunch of sacral places all around the world. And people, when they start those global wars, global world wars, they also go to those points to control them. Crimea, Moscow, Caucasus Mountains.
It's the Crimea.
What else? Africa, of course, Egypt and Israel, and also Syria is a big time target for everybody. Baghdad, which is Mesopotamia or Babylon area. So probably we can we ain't got so much fingers to count these areas. They're just all around this map, that we have.
Yeah, I think Babylon was a comet event. I read it last night in that old that old medieval text that I was reading. Actually stated in there that Babylon was an event with electrical arcing. So I can't think of Babylon came to that end.
Whoa! Oh my gosh, that's a trip.
Yeah, I know it was a trip when I read it, but it was like early hours, and I was like, whoa!
What did you read it in, Martin?
Sorry?
What did you read it in?
One of the many texts that I got on my sidebar that I need to delete them. I'll dig it out later. I'll read it again. It was
So
just
it's
like,
from,
well, Middle Ages
whatever.
text talking
Yeah.
about Babylon. Yeah.
No
There's enough
way.
words that I could work it out. I could work out the Tower of Babel, and I could work out an inundation. I could work out, you know, like the explanation of a comet, as in fiery rain, thunderbolts, in the ground, everything, all of what we talk about, the ground cracking up and things sinking. It was all in there for Babylon explanation. I thought it was so intriguing. I thought the tower might have been built for them, knowing it was coming, trying to get off the plane and get to the plane above through the dome with the tower. Yeah, like the Dark Tower. You know, it's all about the tower, isn't it? Seems to be really intriguing.
Yeah, that's a trip.
What about the current chat? People asking any questions? I wonder.
Oh, I haven't even looked at chat. I completely.
Sorry, guys. I know I haven't either because it's hard to
Oh, shit.
I'm so bad.
look.
And we already talked about 3 hours, right?
Oh my God.
Hey, guys. Hey, anyone have any questions in the chat? Because sorry.
You watching? Oh my God! And I forgot all about him. Jaxie daydreaming, beautiful. Oh, two gardens is there.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, sorry guys. Yeah, it's just it's hard to do both, to look over there and then to concentrate on what we're talking about.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It's like you gotta. It makes it hard, but.
Each of us talked for about an hour, so probably it was so long.
It just goes so quick, Philip. Can you find?
I have to like go in 15 minutes.
So, my son's still asleep in the other room. I'm in the bedroom keeping quiet, apparently. I enjoyed myself again. It's been brilliant.
Hey, Jax. Hey, guys.
Jax is awesome. She's doing mud flood videos for me as well. I'm posting her on a YouTube channel. She lives in London and she goes around photographing the mud flood building. She does brilliant evidences.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Hey. And the other girl, Mary, is one of my neighbors and lives about 10 minutes away up the road by here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I see her all the time. She's a flat earther, obviously. So that's pretty cool.
Hey, Mobius. I know Mobius.
Yeah, I've seen him around.
Yeah.
And Zal is my friend from down there. Make sure you don't fall off that ball, Sal. Down under.
Hey, Mitch. Hey, guys. So we have a couple questions, but I don't know if we got Victor says he's asking about the plasma event, and then Zal says, how do the Australian original people fit into your theories? Do you guys want to take those up, or?
Yes, I can say.
Okay. It's
just my theory. As I've been saying, we had, origin or native races, natives, right? So-called locals. I call them locals. And we have so-called elite race or God-chosen race, whatever you call it, which were more like closer to the information, to the source of enlightenment, right? That's why they call themselves sometimes Illuminatis, Enlightened, and stuff like that. So locals pretty much are different, like all these animals we have in our animal world. So we have like tigers, we have panthers, we have lions, and they all pretty much look the same, but they are different, right?
Yeah.
And they are not intersecting each other because they live in different areas. And as this guy was talking about in his video, it's probably connected to some astrology or some radiation or maybe wavelengths which the skies present, and also the food, the climate, the geographical position, and so on and so forth. Even the sun effects and the moon. And that's why we have different nations, different locals worldwide. And probably those who are now representing the North, the so-called Aryan people, so-called Caucasian, whatever you call them, Indo-European, they are like closer to those who were living with those giants before that.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
giants or Atlanteans or Titans, the sons of God, whatever you call them, those who were rebelling, rioting against the gods in the ancient mythology, in the ancient books. So those who didn't like the changes, those who didn't like to be controlled by some extraterrestrial powers, right? So they probably were the ones who were killing the trees. They were probably the ones who were killing themselves and making those wars and revolutions and changes in paradigms and religion and all this stuff. And they are the ones who were using the locals as the slaves. That's why we have many pictures when we see a white boy and a black girl, and there's a name like a white and a black slaves. And the slaves, also the name for the Russians, the majority of Russians were called Slavs. So this is the same word. So this doesn't mean we are the same, but we are pretty much the same because we live here. We are the locals, and the controllers, they integrate in us with the chimeras or hybrids or the people that are now called the elites, right? So.
Agreed.
So these are the soulless creatures that can be bringing on the evil with their actions. And that's why people don't like the elites. Because as soon as the elites start transferring the power on the bloodline, not for the good qualities of the man, this is the time of the changes. Because in the pagan era, the elites were chosen for their good skills, good knowledge, good actions, good good activity. And after the changes, the elites were given the order to their kids and their kids and their kids. And as you know, the kids are not always as smart as the parents, right? And sometimes they're so stupid, so nothing. Even the parents are disappointed in them. And how
it can happen the other way around though, Philip. I know some kids that got retard parents and constantly complain about them. My parents are retards.
It's just a change, it's a rotation of intellect, rotation of the genes.
I think so.
That's why they make all these hybrids, and that's why this is the force and power of changes, only inside the community, which I've been talking about last time. So this is probably the cause of the people appearing, the different races appearing at different continents, in Australia, in India, in China, in like those Northern American Indians, like all those races in Africa, because they have different races in Africa and they know it. It's just not one race, right?
No.
And each race is just similar to ray of light, ray of wavelength, ray of influence from the stars, ray of radiation, all this radiation control, which is not harmful to a person, but it can change his genotype, his so-called genocode, genesis, which is actually not the start of the world. This is the forming of the genes of the person. That's why it's called the genesis. And we have like a bunch of people that were created on the day 6 or day 7, and we have some other people that were created from some other God's genes in day of, and they became Adam and Eve. So this is a different type of person. And those Adam and Eve people, they actually are, more humanoid than the original people. So they are like more controlled. They are more computer controlled. They are more influenced. They are more, they have no soul, actually. That's what I say.
Yeah, it feels like.
So they have intellect more exaggerated than the soul. They may have a bit of soul, but they don't have as much as the rest. And local people have more soul. They are more naive. They are more kind. They are more
soulful.
Soulful, right? But they have less intellect because they are not as programmed as the humanoid people. Okay.
Hmm.
This is what I'm thinking about Australia, because those people were naive to let those intruders in and let them enslave them for centuries. And right now they are just like North American Indians living in small reservations and
subject to racial abuse.
just dying in this dust and mud. And this is not the way it was before that. Before this, Australia was mined by the Atlanteans, by the Titans, and this is what left, just a huge desert, the mining waste, and nothing else. Just like Hawaii, just like anything else. Easter Island is also the same. Wow. It was completely mined and nothing else left. Only just a couple of stations.
Not one tree. Not one tree.
Not one tree. This is the way it goes, and Africa is going the same way because we have all these deserts in the north, which are, you know, attacking the forests in the south, and they're going down and down and down, and people, you know, just surviving there. Actually, Africa is very bad situation right now.
I know it is.
That's why they're so aggressive when they come to Europe, because they
they treat us with no remorse. I've noticed, and it's a survivalistic instinct, isn't it? Because what they're suffering down there. So yeah, I know.
And probably the elites are planning the rotation of the population in Europe, and they want to get the cheaper human resources. That's why they bring so many so-called Muslims and Africans, and they rotate in the Europeans, which are more expensive to them. You know, they pay more money. They have more, you know, more needs, more stuff to buy and stuff like this. This is very bad for the population, not population, for the ecology. And the ecologism is a new religion of the elites. Remember this. They want this ecologism to be on top of everything. This means that sooner or later we can't, you know, even kill a mosquito. We will be fined for that soon.
Yeah.
Remember my words.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so bad.
Yeah.
I think I've answered the Australian question, right?
Yeah. That was good.
Good. All right. Hey guys, I think we should start to wrap it up, because this has been a 3-hour one, and
wow. I mean, so quick. I so enjoyed that. It was excellent conversation.
Yeah, anyways, it was very good. So thanks a lot, Rosette, for inviting. I think the next time we will expand the topic more. I'll be more prepared than that and show a presentation as you did, because I didn't prepare for this time.
I just had it ready because I went live last night, Philip.
Yeah, I know that. I've seen the so-called invitation to your live chat, but
fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll have stuff. You guys are really good with yours. I just came across some stuff, but I'll try to find some stuff. But otherwise, I'll just, you guys can just run with it, and I'll just.
Next time I'll be closer to the sea. I'll be in another city. I will live in Moscow for a couple of weeks. So
is that right?
I'll be more prepared, because I don't have to go to work. I'll have holidays or whatever you call vacations.
Oh, right on.
So I'll be more prepared.
Yeah, I got more time on my hands in a minute, so that's great as well.
So anyways, it was good. Thanks a lot for
inviting. Yeah, and Martin, if you want, so Martin has his friend Lee Flat Earth. What's he go by? Flat Earth British Sub.
He's my subscriber channel, but we juggle ideas back and forth, and he helps me with my volume of traffic that I can't deal with.
Right on.
Yeah, it helps me with a lot. I wouldn't be able to cope otherwise. I haven't got a secretary.
But he's welcome to join us, and if he wants to, if you talk to him, and if he wants to join us.
Clued up guy about everything we would have thought about, he would have known and have more of an opinion on. He's got, that's what I like about him. He has ideas, fresh ideas, and like, I've never ever thought of that, and that's what I like, fresh new ideas. So that's why Lee's on board. He's an awesome bloke anyway. So
Yeah. Right on. Cause yeah, I mean, gosh, all the information, that we've just discussed tonight, it's like,
Too much for just three little minds.
it's really cool. It's like we're,
Mind-blowing.
uncovering, some really good stuff. So,
Yeah, I know.
all
So
right.
enjoyed it. Oh, thanks for getting Rosette. You were absolutely awesome. A
You're
massive
the best, Martin. You too, Philip. I love you guys. You guys are, and I love everyone in the chat. You guys are really awesome. Thanks for sticking it out with us.
Totally enjoyed it. I was loving it.
Yeah. So we'll be more active in the next time around. We'll I'll make sure and look at the chat. So so we'll make sure. Yeah. So all right, guys. Well, good night, everybody. Good morning to you guys. Good night for me.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, good night. Nostalgic. Have a good night.
Good night. Okay.
All right, night, Philip.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good day, brother, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
See ya.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
God
Bye,
bless.
guys.